Chapter 693. Yu Lingkong was done tormenting Ning Fan. She was about to die. She pushed Ning Fan away and went to sleep at the side. What a strange woman. Looking at her carefree manner, Ning Fan could not help but recall the scene when he bought her during the Pleasure Devil Islands auction in the past. Coercion, enticement, plucking, and finally borrowing her strength to increase his cultivation base. She was originally just a human cauldron, a partner, but unknowingly, she had left a place in his heart. Little cucumber, let's fight for another 300 rounds. I won't lose to you. In her sleep, Yu Lingkong giggled foolishly. Her saliva had even wet the pillow. One had to admit that her sleeping posture was really bad. However, this scene made Ning Fan feel warm. It has been many years since we last got along well. Is she already at the void pierce stage? It seemed like her comprehension was already enough for her to break through to the grand void realm. She just needed some help. Ning Fan took out a void fragmentation realm Dao fruit and swallowed it. However, he did not refine it. He carefully hugged Yu Lingkong, then his clone once again submerged into that extremely muddy and warm place. Traces of the void fragmentation realm's Dao fruit's power were transmitted to Yu Lingkong through the joint. Ning Fan was helping Yu Lingkong to refine the void fragmentation realm Dao fruit. Given his cultivation base, the speed of his refinement was naturally extremely fast, saving Yu Lingkong a lot of time. It's so hot, the power of the Dao fruit flowed into Yu Lingkong's body, causing her delicate body to heat up. Ning Fan bent down and gently kissed Yu Lingkong. Then, he swallowed an absolute void pill into his mouth. His palms moved all over her body, helping her refine the power of the Dao fruit. Her magic power was slowly increasing. Yu Lingkong, who was in a daze, let out a soft moan. Unknowingly, the bottleneck of the absolute void stage was broken through by Ning Fan's ferocious charge. Yes. The drowsy Yu Lingkong instinctively catered to Ning Fan. When the great void tribulation cloud appeared, Ning Fan raised his hand and extinguished the heavenly tribulation, not giving it a chance to make any noise. How could his night of pleasure be interrupted by the damned heavenly tribulation? The next day, when Yu Lingkong woke up, she discovered in disbelief that she had actually broken through to the grand virtual realm. When he looked at his lower body, it was red and swollen, riddled with scars. His body was covered in red marks. It was too ambiguous. How could Yu Lingkong not understand that all of these were done by Ning Fan? Despicable. Taking advantage of this old lady's sleep, you actually dared to launch a night attack. And to make it so intense. There was no joy of breaking through to the next realm. Instead, there was only the humiliation of being ambushed by Ning Fan. Fuck. She was obviously the one who took the initiative, but Ning Fan actually turned the tables on her. Damn it. After I ascend, are you going to return to Yu country or stay on the Divine Space Island? Ning Fan asked with a smile. His lecherous hand reached out to Yu Lingkong's tender thigh and gently caressed it. I want to stay on the Divine Space Island. I want to rebuild the Divine Space Island. She began to pant softly. For a moment, she forgot to condemn Ning Fan. Thinking about it, she didn't seem to have suffered a great loss, so she decided not to denounce him. That's fine. You can keep this jade tablet. If there's a problem, you can send a voice transmission to the other end of the jade tablet. A senior with the surname Xia will come to your rescue. By the way, if you want to rebuild the Divine Space Island, I'll leave some manpower for you. After the two of them changed their clothes, they walked side by side out of the island. Ning Fan shook his cauldron ring and summoned Hua Yu and the other female members of the Light Feather clan. They're all your women. I really can't tell that little cucumber is so powerful. He has captured so many beautiful women. Yu Lingkong looked at Ning Fan disdainfully. Her tone actually carried a hint of jealousy. They aren't my human cauldrons, but they have some connections. They are members of the Light Feather clan that I saved from the demon world. After explaining with a smile, Ning Fan left Hua Yu and the others on the Divine Space Island. The rain world had already been pacified. With Emperor Xia around, the women he loved would not be in danger wherever they want to go. This was the advantage of not ascending. If he ascends, he would probably be confined in the cauldron ring again, guarding an empty room. Pfft. I don't believe that they aren't your human cauldrons. Look at them. Each of their eyes is filled with love when they look at you. However, it seems like their primordial yin is still there. You really didn't do anything to them. Even though she said that she did not believe it, deep down, she did. Yu Lingkong raised her eyebrows. Her mood became much better. Even though she knew that Ning Fan practiced a dual cultivation method and had no choice but to pluck human cauldrons, she really did not like it. No woman would like Ning Fan to have too many human cauldrons. Forget it. I'll rebuild the Divine Space Island with this group of women as the foundation. Hee hee. Since Little Cucumber isn't in the rain world, I can do whatever I want in the Internal Sea again. I can be a carefree and happy female devil lord. Yu Lingkong delightedly fantasized about her wonderful life without Ning Fan. While she was panicking, she also felt a little frustrated. Without Little Cucumber, who would she find to satisfy her lust? Damn it! She was not a casual person. Without Little Cucumber, she would die of suffocation. You heir, what do you think about that piece of land? The soil there is very fertile. Ning Fan seemed to have seen through Yu Lingkong's thoughts and pointed at a piece of land with fertile soil in the distance. The soil is indeed very fertile. Yu Lingkong nodded her head. We can plant a few acres of cucumbers. Let's build a frame and plant them. That way, the cucumbers will be straight and it'll be easier to do things. If we plant them in the ground, they will be more curved. However, maybe you like them a little more curved. Ning Fan teased her with a serious expression while looking at her ambiguously. Oh. Planting cucumbers. Yu Lingkong nodded her head. Suddenly, she realized the hidden meaning of Ning Fan's words. She stared at Ning Fan with extreme shame and indignation. Get lost. I won't use cucumbers to humiliate myself. I have hands. Hua Yu and the other female members of the Light Feather clan were stunned. They had yet to figure out the current situation. They did not know why Ning Fan asked them to join the Divine Space Island. However, it seemed like the Yu Lingkong in front of them was the Island Lord. However, isn't this Island Lord a little too tough? How could he say such shameful words so casually? His women are indeed not ordinary people. Hua Yu looked at Ning Fan and thought to herself speechlessly. After staying on the Divine Space Island for 3 months, Ning Fan went to the Internal Sea along the way. The Giant Devil Clan, the Six-Winged Clan, the Suppressed Mist Horn Clan, the Destroyed Ghost Eye Clan. Pill Island, Sword Island, Dong Su Island. In the past, he was the strongest devil in the Internal Sea. Today, however, he was the Lord of the Rain World. After meeting the leader of the Giant Devil Clan, Old Ancestor Dong Su, Venerated Pill and the others, Ning Fan went to the Zhou clan of the Internal Sea to meet Hong Yi. On the Bu Zhou Island in the Internal Sea. A few cultivators of the Zhou clan were patrolling outside the island. All of a sudden, a man in white robes walked towards them as if he was taking a stroll in a courtyard. His pace was not fast but his speed was way too terrifying. In the blink of an eye, he had already appeared in front of everyone from a faraway place. Isn't he a divine transformation realm old monster? They vaguely felt that Ning Fan looked familiar but they could not recall that the person in front of them was the Devil Lord of the Internal Sea in the past. Is Hong Yi here? Ning Fan asked indifferently. It was a very simple question but it made the expressions of the few cultivators of the Zhou clan change drastically. Hong Yi was the name of the Thunder Sovereign of the Zhou clan. This time, when Hong Yi returned to the internal sea, she no longer concealed her identity as a woman. She announced herself to the world with the name Hong Yi. However, who in the world would dare to call the Thunder Sovereign by her name and call her Hong Yi? The few cultivators of the Zhou clan immediately showed expressions of anger. In their opinion, even if Ning Fan was a divine transformation realm cultivator, he was not worthy to call the Thunder Sovereign by her name. The leader of the few cultivators immediately took out a spiritual arrow and shot it into the sky to sound the alarm. Then, a large number of cultivators of the Zhou clan rushed to Ning Fan from Never Zhou Island and surrounded him. There was even a Void Refinement Realm Elder who was approaching Ning Fan step by step. However, what was strange was that the Void Refinement Realm Elder was extremely respectful towards Ning Fan while the cultivators of the Zhou clan were staring at Ning Fan with hostility. Don't be rude. This person is Master's honored guest. He is the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. That Void Refinement Realm Elder was the third elder of the Zhou clan, Zhou Chen. In the past, his memories were destroyed by Ning Fan's memory severing Dao's sword and the knot in his heart was resolved. Today, his cultivation base had already reached the origin returning realm and breaking through to the void fragmentation realm was just around the corner. As soon as they heard the third elder's words, the expressions of all the cultivators of the Zhou clan changed. Sin. Evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. He is actually the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. A wave of cold air rushed from the soles of their feet to their heads. Everyone wore a respectful expression. How could they not know about the prestige of the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign? Even a supreme being like Su Daozi had been taken in as a servant by the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. The nefarious Cloud Rain Sovereign's contributions couldn't go unnoticed as he was able to turn the weakest rain world into the strongest of the 9 realms. When they thought of how they had been eyeing Ning Fan covetously just now, many of them were filled with fear. I want to meet Hong Yi. Ning Fan cupped his fists towards Zhou Chen. Master has instructed that if the Rain Emperor comes, he can directly head to the Extreme Thunder Palace to meet him, Zhou Chen said respectfully. The current Ning Fan was no longer comparable to him. Thus, he naturally had to treat him with respect. Got it. Ning Fan took a step forward and his figure vanished into thin air before everyone's eyes. No one could clearly see where he went. Seeing that Ning Fan did not hold them accountable, all the cultivators of the Zhou clan heaved a sigh of relief. Zhou Chen revealed a bitter smile. Master seems to have really fallen in love with the Rain Sovereign. Apart from Master, no one else can enter the Supreme Thunder Palace. But she let the Rain Sovereign enter. In the Supreme Thunder Palace, Hong Yi was completely naked. Her body was soaking in a huge bath as she cultivated with her eyes closed. When Ning Fan stepped into the Extreme Lightning Palace, he saw such an alluring scene. Why did you come to find me? Hong Yi asked indifferently without even opening her eyes. I found an extremely secretive ascension passage and I'm about to head to the Eastern Heaven Immortal World. That's why I came to see you and tell you about that passage. Perhaps you will need it one day. As soon as Ning Fan finished speaking, he took out a jade slip and placed it on the edge of the bath. Hong Yi opened her eyes and stared at Ning Fan quietly with her blood-red eyes. For a moment, she was actually speechless. After a long time, she stood up with her body dripping wet. She was not afraid that Ning Fan would see her naked body as she walked towards him step by step. After walking out of the bath, she walked towards Ning Fan with graceful steps. Her fair and tender body was covered with water vapor. It made Ning Fan smile faintly. He had already tasted Hong Yi's body countless times during the life and death tribulations. The taste was really good. Is she going to throw herself into my arms? I'm sorry to disappoint you. I have no interest in you at all. I'm also not interested in ascending to the Eastern Heaven. If I want to ascend, I want to go to the ancient Devil's Abyss. Hong Yi looked at Ning Fan teasingly. Why would she throw herself into his arms? She did not have much interest in that jade slip. However, this jade slip was sent by him from thousands of li to her. With that thought in mind, she kept the jade slip in her hand. With a wave of her hand, the clothes at the side automatically draped over her body. "Does my body look good?" Hong Yi looked at Ning Fan teasingly. She had also asked Ning Fan this question in the past. At that time, how would Ning Fan dare to answer her? But now, "You look good. I won't get tired of looking at you 100 times." The current Ning Fan had the guts to tease Hong Yi. This time, Hong Yi did not get angry. She also did not ask Ning Fan to watch his eyes. She was actually very satisfied with Ning Fan's answer. "If you dare to say that I don't look good, I will certainly dig your eyes out." Even though her tone was cold, her blood-red eyes revealed a rare hint of a smile that went straight to the bottom of her eyes. She had once split her consciousness into 10,000 parts. One of them was his demon companion. He helped her resurrect and took revenge for her. In the midst of the life and death tribulations, he also had sex with her. "If I ascend to the ancient devil's abyss one day and become a devil lord, would you be interested in becoming my empress?" Hong Yi asked teasingly. Ning Fan let out a few dry coughs. He was speechless. He had the potential to be a gigolo. Why did everyone want him to be their empress? However, he believed that if Hong Yi ascends to the ancient devil's abyss, she would have the ability to become a devil lord. She was originally an extremely capable person. If she was not harmed by the Rain Sovereign in the past, she would probably have ascended to the immortal abyss a long time ago. From this perspective, shouldn't Ning Fan thank the Rain Sovereign for harming Hong Yi, which allowed him to meet her? I can't let this idea go. I have to forget, you're not willing." Hong Yi's blood-red eyes instantly turned cold. She had taken a fancy to him, but he actually dared to turn her down. "If I were to be your queen, would I be able to sleep with you?" Ning Fan asked in return. He held Hong Yi's wrist with one hand and used his other hand to knock the robe that was draped over her shoulder. Then, he held her wet and slender waist. "You! How dare you be rude to me? Get lost!" Hong Yi's cultivation base was obviously higher than Ning Fan's. However, when she was held by Ning Fan, her body actually felt numb and she could not exert any strength. Feeling Ning Fan's hand fondling her buttocks, Hong Yi panted softly. Her blood-red eyes gradually became blurry, but she said in a low voice. "Recently, I'm breaking through a small bottleneck. I shouldn't lose too much primordial red," is she begging me with a soft voice. Even the dignified Thunder Sovereign Buzhou would have such a moment of begging. Ning Fan could naturally see that Hong Yi was about to break through her bottleneck. He was just teasing her and had no intention of doing anything to her. "Don't worry. I won't break your primordial red." However, Ning Fan's hands were roaming all over Hong Yi's body. He had no intention of letting her go at all. After fondling her for a long time, Ning Fan finally let go of her. At this moment, Hong Yi's face was flushed and her body was already wet. "It feels good. Get lost." Hong Yi uttered a single word coldly as if she was asking him to leave. However, her blood-red eyes were filled with embarrassment and anger. She was actually touched by him all over. "Damn it. All right. Let's get lost over there." Ning Fan purposely twisted Hong Yi's words. He carried her horizontally and carried her to the side of the bed of the Extreme Lightning Palace. Even though he could not have her for the time being, how could Ning Fan reject her request to have sex with him? He placed Hong Yi flat on the bed. She randomly picked up a pillow and threw it at Ning Fan. However, Ning Fan easily dodged it. The dignified Thunder Sovereign Buzhou actually used a pillow to hit someone without using magic techniques. Has he really fallen in love? "Don't worry. I won't break your primordial red tonight. Didn't you say that I'm your empress? Then, I'll serve you well." Ning Fan took off his outer clothes and pulled down the curtains. Then, he flipped onto the bed and pinned Hong Yi down. You. Before Hong Yi could finish her words, Ning Fan had already sealed her red lips with his. One of Ning Fan's hands roamed all over her body while his other hand went to the ravine and played with the mud. How dare you? How dare you? How? Her soft curses eventually turned into soft moans. Hong Yi closed her eyes. She felt like she was surrounded by clouds and mist. She did not know what to do. She let Ning Fan fondle her and did not resist in the end. On the next day, Hong Yi woke up feeling extremely refreshed. She realized that she was in Ning Fan's arms and both of them were naked. She was annoyed at first but soon after, she revealed a teasing smile. You're awake. Is it comfortable? Ning Fan teased. You're indeed my empress. Your technique is top-notch. I'm very satisfied. You can continue tonight. Empress. Ning Fan's face immediately darkened. Yesterday, he called himself the Empress just to tease Hong Yi. He really did not like this title. Seeing Ning Fan's dark expression, Hong Yi instantly felt much better. She decided that from today onwards, she would call Ning Fan Empress every day and night to anger him to death. In another 2 months, it's almost time for me to go into seclusion to break through a minor bottleneck. I'll play for another 2 months and then chase this stinky man away. Just as she was thinking about that, Hong Yi could not help but let out a moan all of a sudden. It turned out that Ning Fan's hand had reached into a place where it should not be. Empress. I don't have the mood to do this kind of thing with you now. Stop it now. Stop. It. As long as I'm in the mood. Ning Fan smiled meaningfully. Calling me the Empress, huh? You have to pay a price for it. There are no more updates. Everyone can sleep early now. Chapter 694. 2 months later, Hong Yi went into seclusion again and chased Ning Fan away. Ning Fan used the Black Devil escape and returned to Yu country. That night, he rested in his room to recover his magical power. Deep into the night, the faint sound of a zither could be heard from the Si Fan Palace. Ning Fan was slightly proficient in music. He could vaguely hear a hint of homesickness in the zither music. Under the moonlight, Ning Fan pushed the door open and followed the sound of the zither. In a snow pavilion in the side courtyard, Su Qiuling, dressed in a light robe, was playing the zither with her eyes closed. Sensing Ning Fan's arrival, Su Qiuling unconsciously opened her eyes. She stopped playing the zither and said with a faint smile. Big brother, why have you come? I came to see you. Are you homesick? Ning Fan sighed softly. Back then, he hadn't been powerful enough, and he was worried that Su Qiuling and the others would not be safe in the boundless sea and that they might be harmed by the Rain Emperor. Thus, he had brought them all back to the Yu nation. After all these years, the Rain world had been pacified. Su Qiuling must have missed her family in the Endless Sea. Also, Feng Shuiyan probably misses the giant devil clan as well. What about Su Yao? Does she miss the outer seas? What about Yalan? Would she miss the Lost World Palace too? What about Baisu? Would she miss Gusu as well? I'm a little homesick. But. Before Su Qiuling could finish her words, Ning Fan had already carried her up gently. If you miss home, you can go back. In today's Rain Immortal world, you won't be in danger no matter where you go. Of course, you must bring this sound transmission jade tablet with you. Ning Fan had already taken Emperor Xia as his personal bodyguard without any restraint. He took out a voice transmission jade token and passed it to Su Qiuling. Then, he told her about the sound transmission jade tablet. Su Qiuling lowered her head, and her black hair covered her eyes, making it impossible to see her expression. Suddenly, a teardrop fell on Ning Fan's arm. Why are you crying? Ning Fan held his breath and hugged Su Qiuling tightly. Why are you crying? He asked gently. Su Qiuling did not say much. She just stretched out her arms and hugged Ning Fan's neck tightly, unwilling to let go. Reluctance, reluctance, reluctance. Needless to say, Ning Fan already knew that Su Qiuling was reluctant to part with Ning Fan. She was reluctant to see him ascend. She was reluctant to part with him in a grand parting that would last for thousands of years. No. He was not afraid of waiting for a mere 1,000 years. Instead, he was afraid that he might not be able to return once he leaves. Would he die? Would he die? Was he afraid that he would die fighting in the four heavens and be buried in a foreign land? As for someone as weak as her, she couldn't even go to the four heavens to look for her deceased husband's remains. Right, I won't die. Ning Fan's words were filled with unswerving determination. This was a promise. Although Su Qiuling did not say anything, he knew all of her worries. Some people didn't need words to understand each other. If you die, I will hate you for the rest of my life. No, forever and ever. N. Don't cry. Tomorrow, I'll bring you back to the external endless sea to Gusu. We'll bring Su Yao and the others along. Xuan too. Ning Fan helped Su Qiuling wipe away her tears. His actions were unusually gentle. There's no need for Xuan. When you weren't here, the patriarch of the giant devil clan had already come to you country to see her. He wanted to invite her back, but she wasn't willing to go back. She just wants to hang out with Ji He and the others, this little girl. Ning Fan was speechless. Feng Shuiyan and the other little girls don't cultivate or work. They just eat, drink, play, fight grass, throw pots, and fly kites every day. They really don't have the awareness of being a cultivator. However, wasn't this what Ning Fan was looking forward to? To let their hands not be stained with blood and let them live leisurely like ordinary women. How good would it be if the women he loved could live such a carefree and carefree life? A world where there were no conflicts. Teach me how to play the zither. Ning Fan suddenly smiled and said. When I miss home, I will play a song in the four heavens to listen to the accent of my hometown. All right. Su Qiuling gently broke free from Ning Fan's embrace and sat down again. She closed her eyes and calmed herself down. Then, she played a song on the zither. The song she played was the song of the Yu people. It was the accent of Yu country. Accompanied by the melodious sound of the zither, her voice was clear like the sounds of nature. She would only sing for Ning Fan alone in her life. What night is it today? I'm on a boat in the middle of the river. What day is it today? I'm on the same boat with the prince. I'm humiliated and happy. I'm not ashamed. My heart is troubled but it doesn't stop. I know the prince. There are trees in the mountains and branches in the trees. My heart pleases the prince but he doesn't know. There are trees in the mountains and branches in the trees. My heart pleases the prince but he doesn't know. Fortunately, he understood all of her feelings. He understood all of them. Fortunately, she finally met him again in this life. In that life, she was the flower and he was the butterfly. The butterfly would not stay for the flower but the flower would wait for the butterfly. In this life, he was her husband and she was her wife. I only hope that your heart is like mine and I won't let you down. May you have a bright future and be invulnerable to all your enemies. May you and I meet again in the rain world. Su Qiuling returned to Gusu. Gusu was located at the shore of the Pleasure Devil Sea. She could see her father and relatives anytime. It had been dozens of years since they parted from Gusu. One generation of mortals had been replaced by another generation. Only some elderly people still remembered the bloody massacre that Gusu had experienced in the past. Children did not know who Ning Fan was. However, the old mansion was still preserved. The Green Jade Immortal Island was moved back to the external endless sea by Ning Fan. Su Yao and the women of the Green Jade Immortal Island could also live in Gusu from now on. Yalan was already an early nascent soul realm cultivator. She did not return to the Lost World Palace but stayed in Gusu. Bai Su always prepared the dishes and wine for Ning Fan. She had never done anything out of line. Everything was said without saying anything. Ning Fan stayed in Gusu for 3 months and practiced the zither every day. He had already mastered the essence of the Song of the Yu people. Su Qiuling and Ning Fan played together with the zither every day. This kind of ordinary life was what she longed for. By the way, big brother, is little Stone doing well? Su Qiuling asked with a smile. Every time Bai Su came, she would bring some dishes and wine, just like in the past. She looked at Ning Fan. Every time she wanted to say something, she hesitated. In the end, she only said some words that had nothing to do with romance. Su Qiuling was a person with a clear mind. How could she not know that Bai Su wanted to ask Ning Fan if her son was doing well? Little Stone is doing very well now. Besides, he seems to be getting married soon. Ning Fan said with a smile. What? My son is going to get married soon. Bai Su's face was filled with longing. Big brother, why don't you bring sister Bai Su to see Little Stone? How can there be a child whose parents are not present when they get married? Su Qiuling winked playfully. Bai Su's face instantly turned red. Parents. She was naturally Little Stone's mother. As for Ning Fan, could he be considered as Little Stone's father? Ning Fan looked at Su Qiuling, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. He naturally understood the meaning behind her words. He had never had a son in his entire life. Now, he actually got a son for free, but, Ning Fan looked at Bai Su who was beside him and sighed softly. He was the one who taught Little Stone the Tao of Sword. Hence, he could be considered as Little Stone's master. A master was like a father and a disciple was like a son. Since Little Stone was getting married, he should pay a visit. Young Master Ning, if you're not willing to go, you can tell me where Little Stone is. I can go by myself. Bai Su's current cultivation base was already at the peak gold core realm. She already had some strength to protect herself when she roamed the world. There's no need. I also want to see how much that child has grown. Without giving Bai Su a chance to object, Ning Fan wrapped his arm around her slender waist. Then, his figure flashed and they disappeared. Zhongshan Country, a coastal country in the outer sea. Zhongshan Country was a low-ranked cultivation country. Most of the people in the country were sword cultivators. There were 2 major sword sects in charge of the country. One was the Golden Light Sword Sect and the other was the Sad Cloud Sword Sect. Both of them had late Gold Core old ancestors. The Green Sword Sect was a declining sword sect in Zhongshan Country. Its sect master was only a late harmonious spirit cultivator. Today, the Green Sword Sect was holding a grand wedding banquet. The daughter of the sect master was married to the disciple with the highest aptitude in the sect, Shiming. Speaking of Shiming, everyone in the Green Sword Sect sighed in admiration. This person was originally a swordsman from a mortal country. However, with just one sword, he defeated countless swordsmen from a mortal country. He even defeated many vein-opening sword cultivators. After he became invincible in the mortal world, he stepped into Zhongshan Country and began to challenge cultivators. With the body of a mortal, he became invincible below the harmonious spirit realm. This shocked the entire country. Countless sword sects offered him an olive branch, but he chose to join the Green Sword Sect. As for the reason, it was naturally because he fell in love with the daughter of the sect master of the Green Sword Sect, Feng Qing'er. Feng Qing'er was also an outstanding female swordsman in Zhongshan Country. She admired Shiming very much. The two of them fell in love with each other. The sect master of the Green Sword sect naturally would not stop this heaven-sent marriage. Moreover, this Shi Ming's cultivation speed was really terrifying. He had only joined the sect for 10 years, but he had already succeeded in the harmonious spirit realm. With an early harmonious spirit realm cultivation, he was invincible below the gold core realm in Zhongshan country. Feng Qing'er has found a good husband. This old man has found a good son-in-law. He, after this old man's 100 years, the Green Sword sect will no longer have to worry. The sect master of the Green Sword sect was sitting in the main seat of the wedding hall. Looking at the loving couple below, he felt very gratified. Most of the guests below were fellow Taoists from the various last flowing sword sects. Seeing Shi Ming and Feng Xing's beauty, they all offered words of congratulations. At this moment, a few discordant voices suddenly echoed in the night sky of the Green Sword Mountain. Humph! 3 months ago, Shi Ming killed an elder of my sect. He must give this old man an explanation. This Feng Qing'er is a good cauldron. Shi Ming belongs to your Golden Light Sword sect, and Feng Qing'er belongs to my Sorrow Cloud Sword sect. Several gold core old monsters' aura pressed down fiercely. The entire Green Sword Mountain immediately exclaimed. What? That's the Golden Light Ancestor and the Sorrow Cloud Ancestor. They don't come with good intentions, they don't come with good intentions. I heard that Shi Ming killed an early gold core elder of the Golden Light Sword sect 3 months ago. I didn't expect it to be true. Disaster. Disaster. The 2 great ancestors of Zhongshan country appeared at the same time. Our Green Sword sect is facing a great disaster today. The Green Sword sect master walked out of the wedding hall with an ashen face. He was very clear about what happened 3 months ago. An early gold core elder of the Golden Light Sword sect wanted to abduct his daughter and pluck her. However, he was severely injured and killed by Shi Ming. It was because he saw Shi Ming's deep affection for his daughter that the Green Sword sect master was even more willing to marry his daughter to him. The Golden Light Sword sect was powerful. Even though his daughter was almost humiliated, the Green Sword sect master didn't dare to go to the Golden Light Sword sect to demand an explanation. Unexpectedly, the side that was obviously in the wrong still dared to demand an explanation from the Green Sword sect. This was too much. However, the Green Sword sect master also understood that this was the way of the cultivation world. There was no such thing as reason. If the opponent's fist was bigger, then they were in the right. Gritting his teeth, the Green Sword sect master cupped his fists at the few old monsters who were standing in the air. Today is my daughter's wedding day. I hope everyone can give this old man face before he could finish. The Golden Light Ancestor who was standing in the night sky already harumphed coldly. A vast magical power immediately hit the Green Sword sect master's chest, causing him to vomit blood and retreat. Face. You are merely a late harmonious spirit expert. Do you think you are worthy of this old man giving face? Quickly hand Shi Ming over, or else this old man will slaughter the entire Green Sword sect today. Golden Light Ancestor sneered. Ha! Feng Qing'er is an excellent cauldron. You can't kill her too. She is already in this old man's bag. Old Ancestor Sorrow Cloud smiled evilly. Of course. Fellow Taoist Sorrow Cloud, rest assured. After this matter is over, this old man will wash this girl clean and send her to your residence. Golden Light Ancestor said lightly. Father. Feng Qing'er lifted the red silk on her head and rushed out of the wedding hall to support her father. Her eyes were filled with anger as she glared at the few old monsters who were standing in the sky. Shi Ming walked out of the wedding hall quietly. He didn't even look at the Green Sword sect master, but his face was terrifyingly cold. No one knew that Shi Ming's cold expression at this moment was very similar to the great devil Zhou Ming who ran amok in the external endless sea. He was Little Rock. His surname was Shi, and his given name was Ming. That Ming character was Zhou Ming's Ming. He was the person he admired the most in his life. He was the person his mother liked. He was the person who taught him the sword Dao. A teacher for a day, a father for life. On the day Gusu was dyed with blood, it was the great devil Zhou who showed Shiming the true meaning of power. It had nothing to do with cultivation or the sword Dao. It was just a belief, a persistence that couldn't be erased even if he died 100 times. He might not be a match for Golden Light Ancestor and the others, but it was impossible for them to destroy his sect and take his wife. Shiming is here. Those who want to take my life, fight me. Shiming took a step forward. A weak sword intent suddenly appeared around his body. Although the sword intent was weak, it shocked everyone present. An early harmonious spirit cultivator had comprehended the sword intent that only spirit-severing sword cultivators could comprehend. Looking at Shiming's cold and sharp eyes, Golden Light Ancestor suddenly felt restless. This kid must not be allowed to live. The reason why he wanted to kill Shiming before was because of the death of a gold core cultivator in his sect. But now, he just wanted to get rid of future troubles. Shiming's aptitude made him feel fear. With my order, Golden Light Ancestor, the Green Sword sect must be annihilated today, and Shiming must die. Anyone who dares to help the Green Sword sect will be the enemy of my Golden Light Sword sect. Men, slaughter the sect. Under the order of Golden Light Ancestor, thousands of sword cultivators who were hiding in the darkness of the night appeared on their flying swords, staring coldly at the Green Sword sect below. The guests were so scared that their faces turned pale. They fled from the wedding hall, afraid that they would have any relationship with the Green Sword sect. Tonight, the Golden Light Sword sect wanted to annihilate the Green Sword sect. No one could stop it. Tonight, Shiming, who was known as the #1 youth of Zhongshan country, would also fall. Uncle Zhou. Mother. Shiming closed his eyes and sighed softly. He was not afraid of death. His only regret was that he could not see Ning Fan and his mother before he died. In the next moment, Shiming opened his eyes in disbelief, looking at the two people who appeared out of nowhere in the night sky. A white-robed young man and a white-robed beautiful woman appeared in the night sky. No one saw how the two of them appeared. Uncle Zhou. Shiming's eyes that were always cold suddenly revealed a fiery look. In the next moment, Ning Fan and Bai Su landed outside the wedding hall. Ning Fan reached out his hand and patted Shiming's head, smiling. Little stone has grown up. Little stone. Bai Su's tears flowed down her face. The corner of Golden Light Ancestor's eyes shrunk. He didn't expect the Green Sword sect to have external help, and that external help was Shiming's elder. He glanced at Ning Fan, but couldn't see through his cultivation base. Then, he looked at Bai Su, and his heart sank. Peak Gold Core Realm, this is bad. I didn't expect Shiming to have a Peak Gold Core Realm elder. I'm afraid there will be a tough battle today. However, judging from Bai Su's weak chi, she shouldn't be someone who is used to fighting. Her combat power shouldn't be high. Fellow Daoist Bai Yun, how about we work together to take down this woman? Golden Light Ancestor sneered. All right. But after this, she will be my human cauldron. Old Ancestor Bai Yun licked his lips. A Peak Gold Core Realm human cauldron was not something that could be found anywhere. As soon as the two of them finished speaking, they suddenly met Ning Fan's cold eyes. What a cold and emotionless look. There was only cold killing intent in his eyes. He is my disciple. Ning Fan's cold voice exploded in the sea of consciousness of Golden Light Ancestor and the others like countless claps of thunder. Golden Light Ancestor and Old Ancestor Bai Yun's expressions changed drastically. The expressions of everyone present changed drastically. Nascent. Nascent Soul Realm Cultivator. This person's voice alone can intimidate us. He must be a nascent soul realm cultivator. Hu hubby, the Uncle Zhou that you always mention to me is actually a nascent soul realm cultivator. Feng Feng Air was so shocked that she could not close her mouth. No. Uncle Zhou isn't a nascent soul realm cultivator. He is. Shi Ming wanted to say that Ning Fan was a spirit-severing realm cultivator. But at the next moment, even he himself was shocked. Ning Fan isn't a spirit-severing realm cultivator. How could he just be a spirit-severing realm cultivator? A boundless aura force spread out from Ning Fan's body, causing the entire Zhongshan country to tremble. The mountains were shaking, the rivers were flowing in reverse, the earth was shaking violently, the sky was cracking and the void was completely disrupted. Void. Void Fragmentation Realm. The legendary Void Fragmentation Realm cultivator. Old Ancestor Golden Light was scared out of his wits. Only a Void Fragmentation Realm cultivator could cause such a phenomenon. Void Fragmentation Realm. Void Fragmentation Realm. It was a realm that he did not even dare to think about. A Void Fragmentation Realm expert could slaughter an entire low-grade cultivation country with just a single magic technique. How could he dare to offend such a person? Senior, this is a misunderstanding. Please listen to my explanation. Old Ancestor Golden Light's body trembled and begged for mercy. Ning Fan's expression was still cold. He slowly raised his hand and clawed at the sky. He did not need any explanation. All he wanted was for everyone who targeted Shi Ming to die here. With just the strength of his claw, an unimaginable destructive force immediately swept across the vast sky, turning thousands of cultivators of the Golden Light sect into mists of blood. The thick smell of blood filled the air. Each of the guests who came to congratulate Ning Fan kept quiet out of fear. There was even a guest who had been to the middle state before. With trembling hands, he took out a portrait from his storage pouch. That was the portrait of the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. It can't be wrong. It can't be wrong. He is the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. He is the Rain Sovereign. Just a single sentence from him scared everyone to death. Not only was he a Void Fragmentation Realm old monster, but he was also the strongest person in the 9 worlds, the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. Greetings to the Rain Sovereign. Countless cultivators knelt on the Green Sword Mountain and kowtowed to Ning Fan. Ning Fan frowned. With a flick of his sleeve, all of them were directly lifted up. He turned around and looked at Shi Ming, whose eyes were filled with doubt. Then, he smiled and touched Shi Ming's head, acting as close as before. Uncle Zhou, you. Shi Ming had a guess in his mind. He guessed that his Uncle Zhou was the dignified divine sovereign of the Rain world. However, this guess was too shocking. He did not dare to think about it. Silly child. I will always be your Uncle Zhou. Today is your wedding day. I brought your mother here to visit you. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve. A gold core realm Dao fruit slowly floated down from the night sky. It was left behind by old ancestor Golden Light after his death. After thinking for a while, he took out a box of gold core realm Dao fruits from his storage pouch. That's right. It was a box. These are a token of our appreciation. Please accept them. Bai Su blushed. Was he that close to her? He actually said that. The sect master of the Green Sword sect was stunned. He had no idea that his son-in-law had such a terrifying background. The evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. The evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. A pill force like the Green Sword sect had actually become in-laws with the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. This made him feel like he was in a dream. Feng Qing Air, on the other hand, was very obedient. After entering the wedding hall, she pulled Shi Ming to serve tea to Ning Fan and Bai Su. Let's treat Grandpa and Grandma to tea, no. It's not what you think. Bai Su wanted to explain the relationship between her and Ning Fan, but she did not know what to say. She lowered her head while blushing. Ning Fan took the teacup and gave Bai Su a meaningful look. He tasted the spiritual tea and nodded with satisfaction. This trip wasn't a mistake after all. Chapter 695. 3 days later, Ning Fan sent Bai Su back to Gusu. After staying there for another month, he returned to Yu country alone. He did not know what kind of earth-shattering changes had taken place in Zhongshan country after he left. Countless nascent soul realm, divine transformation realm and void refinement realm old monsters traveled to Zhongshan country to befriend the Green Sword sect. As for the reason, Shi Ming was the son of the evil Cloud Rain sovereign. Was there any other reason to befriend him? Looking at the many old monsters who were flattering him, the sect master smiled bitterly. Any one of them was strong enough to wipe out Zhongshan country. They were existences that he could only dream of. This was unexpected. Originally, he just wanted to find a son-in-law who treated his daughter well. He did not expect to find a son-in-law with such a terrifying background. Shi Ming stood at the peak of the Green Sword Mountain for 7 days. "Husband, don't be sad. Father and mother will come back to see you." Feng Qing leaned on Shi Ming and comforted him. She thought that Shi Ming was missing Ning Fan and Bai Su. "No, I'm not sad. I'm just feeling emotional. I've been chasing after that person's footsteps and desperately cultivated, hoping to become his arm one day. Now, I realize how difficult it is to catch up to him." Shi Ming sighed. "Husband." Feng Qing did not know how to comfort Shi Ming. She bit her lips and remained silent. "However, I won't give up. I will follow that person's footsteps and catch up to him step by step. I will become as strong as him. I will be strong enough to protect my loved ones from harm. I won't let him down." Shi Ming's eyes were filled with monstrous battle intent. Feng Qing was mesmerized by his gaze. "Husband can definitely do it. Qing believes in you." Recently, Su Yan, Gu Shinyang and Fen Qi were busy simplifying the devil marks of the 4 clans to make them more suitable for low-grade cultivators to inscribe. They were the devil concubines of the Mist Horn clan, Ghost Eye clan and Six-Winged clan respectively. Naturally, they were proficient in the art of devil marks. Feng Shuian was also a devil concubine but she was just a freeloader. Sister Yan, Master is about to ascend. Don't you want to see him? In the Devil Marks Palace of 7 Apricot City, Gu Shinyang looked at Su Yan with pity. "See him? What right do I have to see him?" Su Yan sighed. "How is it not qualified? Among the 3 of us, only you are qualified." Fen Qi looked at Su Yan with envy. Even though they were both devil concubines, Fen Qi and Gu Shinyang knew that Ning Fan had never fallen for them. He was only interested in Su Yan. Gu Shinyang begged Ning Fan to kill Elder Guimu. Ning Fan agreed and brought her away. As for Fen Qi, Ning Fan had brought her out from the Six-Winged clan. From the beginning to the end, Ning Fan had been keeping a distance from the 2 of them. It was not that he did not treat them well. It was just that he did not have any feelings for them. I'm not qualified." Su Yan's eyes were filled with self-hurt. There were too many outstanding women around Ning Fan, but she was just the inconspicuous one. In the Mist Horn clan, she was saved by Ning Fan but she was unable to repay him. If she could not return the favor, she would not be able to help him at all when he is facing a void fragmentation realm expert. "What do you mean by not qualified enough?" Ning Fan walked into the Devil Rune's palace with a faint smile. The 3 ladies were so frightened that they immediately stood up and greeted him respectfully. "There's no need to be so distant. You guys continue with your work. I'll just watch from the side. I won't disturb you." "Yes." The 3 girls obeyed and sat down again. They surrounded the jade table and repeatedly drew profound devil patterns on the paper. Ning Fan looked at him quietly and didn't disturb him. He hadn't inscribed all 4 races' demonic marks in the past, and he wouldn't do so in the future. His mageweth was the Mara mageweth, so he did not need these low-level mageweths. However, Ning Fan could not help but admit that the three of them indeed had a high level of attainment in the study of devil marks. After some modifications, even a vein-opening cultivator could carve a devil mark on their body to increase their physical strength. Among the three girls, Su Yan's attainment in demon crests was the highest. She was once the clan leader of the Misthorn clan, so her experience and knowledge were naturally not something the other two ladies could compare to. She was the one who had contributed the most to improving the mageweth. Gu Shenyang and Fen Qi were frowning. They did not have the slightest clue as to how to improve the devil marks. Su Yan, on the other hand, had a clear train of thought. She held the brush in her hand and improved the demon crests bit by bit. However, the mental toll was too great. Her face couldn't help but turn pale, and her forehead was covered in sweat. She was completely focused on designing the mageweth when her body suddenly tensed up. Ning Fan was holding a handkerchief and was wiping the sweat off her forehead. Don't do this. Su Yan was a little flustered. Did I disturb you? Ning Fan asked with a smile. No, Then you can continue with your work. I won't disturb you. Su Yan was speechless. Her mind had been completely messed up by Ning Fan. She could no longer concentrate on her work. Treat him like a tree. Treat him like a tree. Treat him like a tree, Su Yan chanted an incantation in her mind. Gradually, she cast Ning Fan to the back of her mind and started to design the devil marks again. Ning Fan's face was filled with black lines. He had the mind-reading technique. How could he not know what Su Yan was thinking at the moment? She treated him like a tree, all right. A tree it is. Just as Su Yan was concentrating fully, Ning Fan quietly held her hand and channeled his magic power into her body. Su Yan's pale face gradually regained its normal color. Then, it turned red. Can you leave for a while? Su Yan said helplessly. Did I disturb you? Ning Fan asked with a smile. No, oh. Then you can continue with your work. Don't mind me. After all, I'm a tree. Su Yan's face turned even redder. He had actually seen through her thoughts, feeling the magic power that Ning Fan channeled into her body. Su Yan felt sweet inside. Forget it. I'll just let him continue to annoy me here. There's nothing bad about it. The side of her face which was originally hurting herself now had a charming smile on it. Even though she was disturbed, Su Yan felt that her thoughts had become clearer. Before the sky turned dark, she finally completed the initial improvement of the devil marks. As for Ning Fan, he held her hand for the entire day. Su Yan gently withdrew her hand. She got up and stretched her body tiredly. Then, she performed the incantation gesture. Gu Shenyang and Fen Qi had already left. The moonlight in the Devil Mark's palace was dim. There were only the two of them. Your hand is very cold. I think you're feeling weak because you've been too busy recently. You don't have to rush to improve the devil marks. This matter will consume too much energy. You can take your time. Ning Fan looked at Su Yan with concern. His gaze made Su Yan shy away a little. Don't you have anything to say to me? Ning Fan asked with a smile. What can I say? Su Yan lowered her head without saying a word, like a resentful dragon lady. Her fine black hair was like a waterfall and there were two exquisite jade-colored horns on her head. She was rather adorable. Do you want to return to the Misthorn clan? If you're willing, I can remove the suppression on the clan. Before Ning Fan could finish his words, he met Su Yan's sad eyes. You want to chase me away, don't you? You clearly know that the Misthorn clan is no longer my home. I'm sorry. I saw that you're feeling down and thought that you're homesick. If you're unwilling to leave, this country will be your home. No one will chase you away. Ning Fan smiled apologetically. He reached out his hand and played with the jade-colored horns on Su Yan's head. Su Yan's face turned red, but she did not resist. "If I die in battle in the Eastern Heaven one day," Ning Fan said indifferently. "You can't die," Su Yan suddenly said nervously. "I haven't finished my words. Of course, I won't die. What I'm saying is that if I die in battle in the Eastern Heaven one day, I wonder who else will be lucky enough to play with your little horns. Just to touch them often, I will also come back alive." Ning Fan was obviously flirting with Su Yan. It was very obvious. Su Yan looked at Ning Fan in embarrassment. "What did I say? How could I have the right to say those words? Ning Fan actually tempted me to say those words. Rest early. This bottle of pills is called Formation Nourishing Pill. It has the effect of restoring your heart force. You often exhaust your heart force. It's good for your body to take one every now and then." Ning Fan passed Su Yan a pill bottle and stroked her cheek gently. Then, he turned around and walked out of the Devil Rune's palace. Su Yan's face instantly turned red. Looking at Ning Fan's back as he left, her eyes were blurred and she could not speak for a long time. When she recalled that year when Ning Fan hugged her to escape from the pursuit of the group of devils in the Misthorn Broken World, she suddenly became absent-minded. The pill bottle in her hand seemed to have become heavier. She carefully put it away as if she was keeping the most precious thing in her possession. "Remember to go home," she muttered to herself in a very soft voice. She only dared to speak her mind after Ning Fan had gone far away. "All right." Ning Fan's reply was sent back to the Devil Rune's palace. Su Yan's heart skipped a beat. She pursed her lips and ran back to her room. However, her face was burning hot. "I didn't expect that the dignified clan leader of the Misthorn clan would also have such a girlish side." Interesting. Ning Fan returned to his room with a smile and saw a small black sable lying on his bed. "Little Black, did you miss me?" Ning Fan held the small black sable in his arms passionately and stroked its soft body with his palm. The small sable immediately revealed a human-like expression of shame and anger. Her body flashed and she turned into a naked woman. "Pervert!" Mei Chen glared at Ning Fan with shame and anger. Even though she had turned back into her human form, Ning Fan's hand was still grabbing her soft chest. Since that was the case, she might as well not turn back into her human form. At least, she would not be taken advantage of. "Little Black, is there anything you need from me?" "TSK. Why would I look for a stinky man like you?" Mei Chen struggled free from Ning Fan's embrace. She raised her hand and clothes appeared on her body. "You need a Dao crystal to break through." Ning Fan could tell that Mei Chen's cultivation base was still a distance away from breaking through to the fourth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. However, with the help of a large number of Dao gems, breaking through to the fourth level wouldn't be difficult. Mei Chen's face turned red. She really was here to borrow the Dao crystal, but she really couldn't say anything about borrowing the Dao crystal. She needed about 4 million Dao crystals to break through to the fourth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Although 7 Apricot City still had 70 million Dao crystals, 4 million was not a small number. She was too embarrassed to take it. Even though Ning Fan had already given the order that Mei Chen could directly use the Dao crystal if she needed it, Ning Fan had already given her the order. "Little Black, don't treat me like an outsider." With a flick of his sleeve, Mei Chen lost her balance and fell into his arms. Ning Fan flicked his finger and Mei Chen exited her human form, transforming back into her sable form. While caressing the small sable's smooth fur, Ning Fan's mouth curved into a faint smile while the small sable was ashamed and resentful. Where was Ning Fan's hand randomly touching? Although she had turned into a ferret, ferrets still had their principles and chastity. As a demon pet, you have the obligation to sleep with your master. Ning Fan said righteously. Roar. The small sable protested strongly. Go to sleep. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and extinguished the candlelight in the room. He really hugged the small sable and slept for the whole night. He did not do anything bad. For the first time, Machen doubted her own charm. Could it be that her beauty in her human form was not as good as her appearance in the sable form? Otherwise, why would Ning Fan hug her in her sable form instead of her human form? Nestling in Ning Fan's arms, the small sable gradually stopped thinking about this problem. Sniffing Ning Fan's scent, she unexpectedly fell into a deep sleep. When Ning Fan woke up the next morning, the small sable was nowhere to be found. After staying silent for a while, Ning Fan changed his clothes and went to look for other women. It was hard to predict when he would return to the eastern heaven this time. After all, he had to give everyone an explanation. He took out the jade slip of the sword word technique from his storage pouch and smiled. Then, his figure flashed and disappeared from the room. In the sword palace of 7 Apricot City. Within a stone chamber in the sword hall, a pink-clothed woman sat cross-legged on the ground while ceaselessly forming sword seals with a frown on her beautiful brows. Her cultivation base was at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Breaking through to the second heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm was just a matter of time. It wasn't that his cultivation was lacking, nor was it that his comprehension of the sword was lacking. It was that his heart was in a mess. Another attempt to break through the bottleneck ended in failure. Ting Xian Ro opened her eyes and wiped her sweat. Her eyes were filled with a sigh. Is he going to ascend? He once said that he would return my freedom after 500 years. I was skeptical at first, but now I see. He doesn't need me by his side for 500 years at all. At that time, he had yet to attain the void fragmentation realm. Thus, he needed my strength. With his current cultivation base, why would he need a helper at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm? I am already useless to him. That year, I was ordered by the Vine Sovereign to hunt him down. Although he didn't say anything, he must have hated me in his heart. Ting Xian Ro muttered to herself. Suddenly, a young man in white appeared in front of her, scaring her. You! Why are you here? Why can't I come? Ning Fan smiled and sat beside Ting Xian Ro. Ting Xian Ro knitted her brows and moved her butt to the side. Ning Fan followed her without hesitation. What are you doing here? Ting Xian Ro was speechless. Since she could not avoid Ning Fan, she stopped hiding and allowed him to stay close to her. Do you still remember the sword word technique? Ning Fan asked with a smile. His question made Ting Xian Ro feel guilty and annoyed at the same time. The sword word technique was the sword technique that she mistakenly thought Ning Fan used when they first fought. She felt guilty because she remembered the past when she hunted Ning Fan down. She felt annoyed because she found out later that Ning Fan did not know any sword word technique at all. Moreover, she admired Ning Fan a lot because of that. However, Ning Fan did not reveal the truth and accepted her admiration with a clear conscience. There is no such thing as the sword word technique in this world. Ting Xian Ro shook her head and said. Let's make a bet. If I really know the sword word technique, you will stay in your country forever. If I don't, I will return your freedom and you can leave the rain world. As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and directly removed the Fu Li demon restriction in Ting Xian Ro's sea of consciousness. Freedom. He actually really gave her freedom back. Without the joy of regaining her freedom, Ting Xian Ro actually felt a little bitter inside. She clearly knew that he did not know the sword word technique. The reason why he made this bet was probably just to find an excuse to chase her away. Indeed, she, Ting Xian Ro, was nothing when she no longer had any value to him. Do you want to bet? Ning Fan asked with a smile. Alright, let's bet. Alright, the bet is over. Since you don't know the sword word technique, can I leave now? Leave? Where do I want to go? If he chased me out of the rain world, where else could I go? Back to the tree world. Is that her home? Just as Ting Xianro wanted to stand up, Ning Fan pulled her back and made her sit back down. Where do you want to go? If you lose, you must stay in the rain world for the rest of your life. Look, this is the sword word technique. Slash. Ning Fan's eyes suddenly turned sharp. As soon as he uttered a word, the sound wave turned into sword light and shattered all 4 sword testing stones in the stone chamber. You lost. Ning Fan said with a smile. I, lost? What do you mean? You want me to stay in the rain world forever? Ting Xianro's heart skipped a beat as she stared at Ning Fan in disbelief. What does he mean? What exactly does he mean? Take it and study it well. Don't you like the sword word technique very much? Improve your cultivation base and be my cauldron in the future. Ning Fan passed the jade slip in his sleeve to Ting Xianro and casually ruffled her black hair. Then, he stood up and left with a smile on his face. He didn't chase me away. Ting Xianro held the jade slip in her hand and stood there in a daze. Suddenly, she recalled the latter half of Ning Fan's words and her face was filled with shame and anger. Cauldron. He asked her to cultivate painstakingly just to be his cauldron. Dream on. Although they had dual cultivated their sea of consciousness before, it was only because she was forced to do so. Her body was still pure. Probably, however, he actually removed the restriction on her. Was it because of trust? Ting Xianro let out a faint sigh. From the beginning to the end, she couldn't understand Ning Fan at all. What exactly is it that you are pursuing? She muttered to herself. Ning Fan went to Dark Sparrow's grave to visit Qing Dai and left her some puppets for her to study. After leaving the Dark Sparrow's grave, he naturally stayed in Sinister Sparrow sect for a short while. He casually taught Xue Qing some pill refinement insights, just like what he taught Yang Gu on Pill Island. Gue Qiaozi and old ancestor Hui Yun were drinking and discussing the Tao. Ning Fan's arrival just happened to bring the 3 of them together. Gue Qiaozi was already a late nascent soul realm expert while old ancestor Hui Yun was a late nascent soul realm expert. As for Ning Fan, he was a void fragmentation realm expert. None of them were ordinary people. Thus, they naturally wouldn't care about the difference in cultivation base. Speaking of which, Gue Qiaozi could be considered as Ning Fan's father-in-law and a friend of the old devil. In terms of seniority, Ning Fan was actually 1 generation lower than Gue Qiaozi. After discussing the Tao, it was already late at night. Ning Fan left some pills and Tao fruits for the 2 of them and leisurely went to other places in Sinister Sparrow sect. Speaking of which, he was still revered Ning of Sinister Sparrow sect. The place he was going to was naturally the Bright Moon Lake. He knew that Lan Mei and Bai Lu would be waiting for him there. The night breeze blew gently. At the side of the lake, 2 peerless beauties, one in blue and the other in pink, were looking at the lake with faint melancholy. They had already received the news that Ning Fan was going to ascend to the immortal realm. After this separation, they didn't know when they would be able to meet again. Memories flashed before their eyes. That year, there was a young man who entered Sinister Sparrow sect. While their thoughts were wandering, Lan Mei suddenly let out a soft cry while Bai Lu harumphed angrily. At the next moment, both of them fell into a warm embrace. Do you want to say goodbye? Ning Fan asked Lan Mei. Lan Mei answered in a melancholic tone. Do you want to take revenge? Ning Fan asked Bai Lu. Of course. My bewitching technique is getting stronger and stronger. You might not be able to defeat me. Ah. Before Bai Lu finished her sentence, the 3 of them had already disappeared from the side of the Bright Moon Lake. No one knew where they went. It seemed like they went to Lan Mei's boudoir. As for what they did, no one knew. No one knows. Probably. Chapter 696. In the Ning clan of Haining, a white-robed man was burning incense beside a desolate grave. Ning Qingqing, who was now the head of the Ning family, had always been cold and aloof. She did not get close to any men, but she actually talked to this man in white for a long time. At the peak of the Cold Moon Mountain, in front of Hu Fengzi's desolate grave, there were more weeds. A white-clothed youth silently pulled out the weeds in front of the grave. After a long silence, he finally left. Outside the desolate mound of the Wei ancestor, a white-robed youth floated into the secret ground. After a long time, he finally left. No one knew that he had merely lit a stick of incense for the Wei ancestor's grave in the secret area. Tang Empire, Chang'an City. Outside the country guarding Marquis Manor, a young man in white stood there for a long time. Hey! This is the country guarding Marquis Mansion. Don't stand here and be an eyesore. Go, go, go. The manservant saw that the young man in white didn't seem to be from an official family of the Tang Empire, so his eyes were filled with disdain. The white-robed young man didn't say much. He just swept a cold glance over, and the gatekeeper was so scared that he fell to the ground. In the cold eyes of the white-clothed youth, he saw an extremely terrifying killing intent. It was too terrifying. Ninggu and Ran, you two are very happy now, aren't you? The white-robed youth smiled, turned around, and left. With a single step, he disappeared without a trace. Immortal. Immortal Master. The gatekeeper was so scared that he peed his pants. He had just flaunted his prowess in front of an immortal master. He was simply courting death. Little four, didn't I tell you many times that I don't like servants? Why are you yelling at others again? By the way, who just came? A white-haired old man and a white-haired woman supported each other as they walked out of the manor. The appearance of the white-haired woman was somewhat similar to Ran. The white-haired elder looked like Ninggu. Master, the person who just came was an immortal master. This lowly one deserves to die. This lowly one actually tried to coax him away. Will this lowly one be killed by the immortal master? I'm so scared. Master, save me. Maybe that immortal master will give you face and let me live. Xiao Si knelt on the ground, kowtowing to the old man. For some reason, when the old man heard that the newcomer was an immortal master, his heart suddenly ached. It was as if he wanted to remember something, but he couldn't. Master. The old woman immediately rubbed the old man's chest to make him feel better. Don't worry, madam. I'm fine. Little four, don't be afraid. If that person wanted to harm you, he would have already done so. Now that he has left, it means that he won't pursue the matter of you offending him. However, today's incident is also a lesson for you. Next time, treat people more kindly. After the old man finished speaking, he looked in the direction where the white-clothed young man had left. I keep feeling like someone very important has been here and left, who could it be? Ning Fan stood on the peak of a nameless mountain and looked back at Tang country. His eyes gradually turned gentle. No one knew what he was looking at. After a long time, his body shook and he vanished without a trace. In the next instant, he appeared in the Southeast Cultivator Alliance. The Southeast Cultivator Alliance was the largest independent cultivator alliance in the Southeast continent, and Yun Ruowei was one of them. At this moment, Yun Ruowei was troubled by a headache. A batch of goods she was responsible for guarding was unexpectedly robbed by a group of unknown cultivators from the neighboring country. By relying on her own efforts and continuously completing the Southeast Cultivator Union's missions, she had already cultivated to the early soul formation stage. However, there were 3 divine transformation realm experts among the group of cultivators who robbed the goods. With her strength alone, she could not get the goods back. Should I ask the Union Master for help? Yun Ruowei bit her lips. She really disliked asking for help. Why don't you come and beg me? Let's go and get the goods back. All of a sudden, a man's voice entered Yun Ruowei's ears. Before Yun Ruowei could react, her slender waist was already grabbed by the person and they flew a great distance away in an instant. Who are you? Just as Yun Ruowei was about to question him, she shifted her gaze and saw the man's face clearly. Her face instantly turned red and she asked in a low voice. Why is it you? Why can't it be me? Ning Fan asked in return. Aren't you going to ascend soon? Why do you still have time to look for me? Oh. Miss Ruowei seems to be very concerned about my matters. You even know about such a secret. When Ning Fan ascended to the eastern heaven, only a few people in the rain world knew about it. Since Yun Ruowei knew about it, it meant that she had been paying attention to him all the time. There was a time when I passed by your country and I casually asked someone about it. Yun Ruowei said in a dishonest manner. What a coincidence. You actually managed to get such a secret information just by casually asking someone. It was true that Yun Ruowei had spent a lot of effort to find out about Ning Fan. It was not easy. We're here. Is this the place? Ning Fan stood on the clouds and looked down at the bandit village coldly. He said indifferently, hand over the goods of the Southeastern Cultivator Alliance within 10 breaths. Otherwise, die. His tone was very calm but it contained a terrifying aura force. As soon as the 3 Divine Transformation Realm bandits sensed the irresistible aura force, their bodies broke out in cold sweat. They had clearly checked and found out that this batch of goods was only managed by an early Divine Transformation Realm woman. How did such a powerful person suddenly appear to take back the goods? The 3 of them walked out of the village and looked at the sky. As soon as they saw Ning Fan's appearance, all of them were paralyzed with fear. As Divine Transformation Realm bandits of the Rain World, how could they not know Ning Fan's appearance? Those low-grade cultivators did not know much about it. However, they were still terrified after being suppressed by Ning Fan's aura force. Little ones, quickly put all the goods in the village into the storage pouches and give them to this person. We don't want anything. We have to give up all of our belongings. Our lives are the most important. Our lives are the most important. We don't want anything else other than our lives. Quickly, load them up. 10 breaths later, the 3 Divine Transformation Realm bandits smiled apologetically and passed tens of bulging storage pouches to Ning Fan. Ning Fan looked at Yun Ruowei and signaled her to accept them. Yun Ruowei bit her lips and shook her head stubbornly. She did not want to owe Ning Fan a favor. Be obedient and accept them. Later, I will bring you to see someone. Who? My mother. Shameless. Yun Ruowei cursed in a low voice. Her face turned red. Ning Fan was actually bringing her to see his parents. What was going on? My mother is Ning Qian. Don't you know? Ning Fan looked at Yun Ruowei with a smile. What? Why you? You. Yun Ruowei was stunned. The 3 Divine Transformation Realm bandits broke out in cold sweat. Yun Ruowei still refused to accept the storage pouches. They felt very uneasy. Let's go and see her. With a wave of his hand, Ning Fan kept all the storage pouches of the 3 Divine Transformation Realm bandits and passed them to Yun Ruowei. Then, he took a step forward and disappeared without a trace with Yun Ruowei. He did not have any interest in dealing with mere Divine Transformation Realm bandits at all. At this moment, the 3 Divine Transformation Realm bandits finally confirmed that they had really survived Ning Fan's hands. When they returned to their stronghold, their legs had already turned to jelly. Stronghold Lord. Who exactly is that person? He actually has such a terrifying aura force. Just a glance from him almost shattered my nascent soul. One of the nascent soul realm bandits asked curiously. You're asking who he is? You just haven't seen his face, but you've definitely heard of his name. He is the evil cloud rain sovereign. What? He's the rain sovereign. Oh my god. We actually offended the Rain Sovereign this time. We actually survived after offending the Rain Sovereign. This is unbelievable. All the bandits in the stronghold rejoiced. Offending the sinful Cloud Rain Sovereign and still being able to survive from the sinful Cloud Rain Sovereign's hands, it was truly an inconceivable thing. How can you be? You're my sister's child. Then how can you hug me? How can you? Yun Ruowei's mind was in a mess. Her delicate body gently struggled, trying to break free from Ning Fan's embrace. Ning Fan was speechless. Yun Ruowei was not his mother's biological younger sister. What was there to be bothered about? Ning Fan flew all the way to Lanrua Temple. He did not use his rain technique to search for Yun Tianjue's whereabouts, but he could guess where he would appear. Lanrua Temple was the place where Yun Tianjue and Ning Qian first met. According to Yun Tianjue's personality, he would probably wait for Ning Qian to wake up at this place. Who is it? Yun Tianjue's eyes were filled with vigilance when he sensed a ray of escaping light rushing towards Lanrua Temple. After sensing the qi of the approaching person, Yun Tianjue's expression finally eased up. An unnatural smile actually appeared on his face. It was Ning Fan. Somehow, Yun Tianjue felt very happy when he saw Ning Fan. Even though he had no emotions, he still felt happy. Outside Lanrua Temple, a gigantic golden house had been built without anyone noticing. As for Yun Tianjue, he guarded outside the golden house every day, not allowing anyone to take half a step closer to it. When Ning Fan and Yun Ruowei appeared outside the golden house, Yun Tianjue put away his unnatural smile and frowned. Ning Fan. What's wrong with your body? Being planted with devil sense and losing his 7 emotions. As soon as Yun Tianjue sensed that Ning Fan's body condition was not right, he felt a little angry for no reason. He actually had the urge to teach Ning Fan a lesson. How did he take care of himself? Senior Yun, you don't have to worry. It's just a small matter. Ning Fan smiled. He took out a pot of top-grade spiritual wine and gave it to Yun Tianjue. Wine from the Sword World. Ning Fan added. Humph. Yun Tianjue kept the wine. He did not try to be polite, but he was still very angry that Ning Fan did not take good care of himself. Yun Ruowei looked at Ning Fan and Yun Tianjue with a strange expression and transmitted her voice to Ning Fan. Why did you call him Senior Yun? Aren't you? He doesn't remember me. Just let it be. It's not bad, isn't it? Ning Fan replied. Yun Ruowei's heart ached. She held Ning Fan's hand for the first time. She felt that it must be very painful for Ning Fan to be forgotten by his father. Naturally, she did not know that Ning Fan had always been an open-minded person. He would not be sad about such a thing. From Ning Fan's point of view, it was a great joy that his parents were still alive. It was not important whether they remembered him or not. It was enough as long as they were happy. Did you bring her here to see little Qian? Yun Tianjue asked indifferently. Yes. You guys can go in. I'll guard outside. Yun Tianjue's tone revealed his trust for Ning Fan. He believed that Ning Fan would not let Ning Qian suffer any harm. He trusted Ning Fan completely even though he did not understand the reason. The Golden House was a high-grade heavenly dwelling treasure. It contained a pine forest. There was a blood pool in the forest and the demon cocoon that Ning Qian had turned into was inside. Inside the demon cocoon, the petrified winged demon had already recovered her human form. She was a rather beautiful woman in yellow robes. However, she was still in a deep slumber. No one knew how long it would take for her to wake up from this slumber. Sister! Yun Ruowei shouted in surprise. However, she knew that her voice was too loud and hurriedly covered her mouth. She was really afraid that she would disturb Ning Qian and affect her awakening. Even though Yun Ruowei did not know why Ning Qian was in such a state, she understood that this demon cocoon could not be broken easily and Ning Qian could not be awakened by external forces. "Mother, I've brought Ruowei to see you." His tone was very normal. However, it sounded a little strange no matter how one listened to it. Yun Ruowei was Ning Qian's younger sister. However, Ning Fan's tone sounded like he was bringing his daughter-in-law home to meet his mother. Yun Ruowei really wanted to correct Ning Fan's words. However, she really could not find any mistakes in his words. When she thought about how lucky she was to be holding Ning Fan's hand, she was shocked and withdrew her hand. "Ruowei, how about staying in Yu country in the future? Yu country is not far from Lanrua Temple. You can come and visit me often. I'm living a good life in the Southeastern Cultivator Alliance. Come to Yu country. I'm really living a good life. Come to Yu country." Ning Fan still wore a faint smile. However, that smile contained a hint of dominance. He wanted her to stay in Yu country and not be ordered around by the Southeastern Cultivator Alliance. There was no other reason. It was just that he did not like it. "All right. I'll stay in Yu country so that I can visit elder sister more often. The Southeastern Cultivator Alliance has too many tasks. I'm really too busy." Yun Ruowei gave him a self-deceiving reason. "That's right." Ning Fan nodded with satisfaction. At the next moment, Yun Ruowei hit him on the head. "You even know how to hit people." Ning Fan was not angry. He was just surprised that Yun Ruowei had such a violent side. "What's wrong with hitting people? I'm your aunt. Hitting you is to educate you. Do you still remember how you bullied me in Lanrua Temple in the past? Now, I'm going to pay you back." Yun Ruowei smiled faintly. She was actually very vengeful. "Aunt, is it?" The corner of Ning Fan's mouth curved into an inexplicable smile. At the next moment, he kissed Yun Ruowei's lips lightly. You. Yun Ruowei was embarrassed and angry. How could Ning Fan be so shameless? He even dared to disrespect his aunt. Even though she was not his real aunt, however, "I'm going to accompany father for a drink. You stay here and accompany mother." As soon as Ning Fan finished speaking, he turned around and walked out of the pine forest. Yun Ruowei was left alone on the spot. She only regained her senses after a long time. "Stinky thief. You're indeed as despicable as before. If I knew that you're my daughter, I definitely wouldn't have let you become Han Yuanji's disciple. Look at what Han Yuanji has taught you." She touched her cold lips and felt that Ning Fan's warmth still lingered on them. "Stinky thief. If I have the chance in the future, I'll certainly teach you a good lesson." Outside the Golden House, Ning Fan and Yun Tianjue sat cross-legged on the ground, drinking wine together. In the past, father and son had never talked much. All the instructions they gave each other were unspoken. "I heard from third brother that you're going to ascend to the Eastern Heaven Immortal World. Be careful. Protect yourself well. Don't always stand out from the crowd." Yun Tianjue had always been a man of few words. It was already rare for him to speak so much. Ning Fan, on the other hand, felt warmth in his heart. It was just a word of advice, but it was more precious than any treasure. He really wanted to call him father, but he did not say it in the end. Some things would only add to Yun Tianjue's troubles if he said it out loud. One day, he would reach that stage and help Yun Tianjue recover his memories. One day, drink. Drink again. Ning Fan knew that the time he would be staying in the Rain World was getting shorter and shorter. After staying in Lanrua Temple for 10 days, Ning Fan sent Yun Ruowei back to Yu country. Then, he headed to the middle state. Li Tsangtian taught him pill refinement techniques for the third time. This time, the teachings lasted for half a year. With Li Tsangtian's help, Ning Fan's pill refinement techniques naturally broke through to the peak 6th revolution. He returned to the underground forbidden area of the Directorate of Heaven Realm and stayed there for 7 years. 7 years later, Ning Fan left the forbidden area. No one knew that he had completed his third corpse transformation and his ancient devil cultivation base had officially broken through to the revered devil realm. Although he was a first heavenly layer revered devil realm ancient devil, his physical body was as strong as a second heavenly layer nirvana realm expert. Ning Fan left many Dao crystals for Li Tsangtian and Yun Bushu, hoping that their cultivation bases would improve further. Just as he was about to leave the middle state, Yu Chong came to him. Ning Fan, my master wants to see you. Will you come with me to see her? Chapter 697. Your master. Ning Fan was slightly stunned. Of course, he knew that Yu Chong's master was Yun Qingge. Yun Qingge's appearance was peerless and her aptitude was top-notch. Countless male cultivators in the Rain world admired her. However, this had nothing to do with Ning Fan. He rarely paid attention to this woman. Compared to Yun Qingge, Ning Fan paid more attention to Yu Chong. Along the way, he had quite a good impression of her. I know you're the Rain Sovereign and you're a busy man. You probably don't have time to meet my master. However, can you give me some face? Yu Chong suddenly could not continue her words. Her cheeks turned red. What do you mean by giving me some face? What face do I have to make the Rain Sovereign come personally? I'm indeed very busy. Yu Chong lowered her head in disappointment when Ning Fan stopped halfway. However, I have to give you some face. Ning Fan's teasing made Yu Chong's cheeks burn. She was momentarily stunned and speechless. What does he mean? What does he mean? Why does he have to give me face? I don't understand. I just want to find a hole to hide in. You're still as interesting as before. Let's go and meet your master. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and the two of them instantly disappeared on the spot. Not long after, they appeared in the Thousand Illusion sect of the Thousand Illusion country. As one of the 4 void fragmentation realm experts, Yun Qingge's other identity was the sect master of the Thousand Illusion country. Greetings, Rain Sovereign. When Ning Fan arrived, he did not conceal his aura force. Countless cultivators of the Thousand Illusion country soared into the sky. As soon as they saw Ning Fan, they cupped their fists and greeted him respectfully. How could they not be respectful? It had been too many years since a powerful Rain Sovereign like Ning Fan had appeared. Ning Fan's reputation had raised the status of the Rain world. As cultivators of the Rain world, they felt an unprecedented sense of pride. They respected Ning Fan from the bottom of their hearts. He's here. Yun Qingge was taking a bath in her room and could not welcome Ning Fan at the moment. Just as she was about to get up and change her clothes to welcome Ning Fan, she saw Ning Fan waving his sleeve and bringing Yu Chong to her room. Master, I've brought the Rain Sovereign here. He. Yu Chong was about to push the door open without knowing what was going on. However, Ning Fan shook his head with a smile and held her small hand. Wait. What are we waiting for? Don't grab my hand. Aye. Yu Chong felt as if her heart was about to leap out of her throat when Ning Fan grabbed her hand. Her face turned red and her mind went blank. All right. Ning Fan let go of Yu Chong and waited outside. Even though there was a sense isolation formation in the boudoir, Ning Fan could still hear the sound of water from the room. He knew what Yun Qingge was doing. He did not have any thoughts of entering rashly. It should be said that he did not have any thoughts about Yun Qingge. After a long time, the door of the room opened with a creaking sound. Yun Qingge was already dressed in her usual military attire. She greeted Ning Fan politely. Qingge greets the Rain Sovereign. Miss Yun, there's no need for that. Ning Fan nodded his head indifferently and entered Yun Qingge's boudoir with Yu Chong. His eyes that looked at Yun Qingge did not have the slightest bit of lust. In fact, they did not even linger for too long. In the beginning, Yun Qingge did not have a good impression of Ning Fan because his disciple stole the spirit equipment. Later on, her impression of Ning Fan gradually changed. However, she still did not think that Ning Fan was a gentleman. However, Ning Fan's eyes were too clear at the moment. It was so clear that it surprised her. Is this the real Ning Fan? People say that he is lustful and has countless wives and concubines. However, there are only a few people who can really catch his eye. Miss Yun, may I know why you are looking for me? Ning Fan sat on a rattan chair at the side while Yu Chong sat beside him in a daze. She had not regained her senses yet. Qingge has a request. I hope the Rain Sovereign can agree to it. What is it? Qingge wants to know where the Rain Emperor's token in the Rain Emperor's hands came from. According to what Qingge knows, the Rain Emperor's token should have disappeared along with my father. Your father? Ning Fan's eyes turned slightly serious. Yes. My father is the previous Rain Sovereign, the Red Cloud Rain Sovereign. Since the Rain Sovereign can find the Rain Sovereign's token, you probably know where my father's remains are. Please tell me. As soon as Yun Qingge finished speaking, she politely bowed again. Her eyes were filled with faint sadness. Ning Fan, however, remained unmoved. He just remained silent. Did this Yun Qingge come to look for me just to find the remains of the Red Cloud Rain Sovereign? The Red Cloud Rain Sovereign is not dead yet. How can he find his remains? Ning Fan naturally knew the whereabouts of the Red Cloud Rain Sovereign. However, why should he tell Yun Qingge about it? If he rescues the Red Cloud Rain Sovereign, the fact that he stole the time crystal in the past might be exposed. It might lead to a lot of trouble. Even though the Red Cloud Rain Sovereign had given Ning Fan the Sovereign Rain primordial art and the Rain Sovereign's token, these things were not considered a favor. It was not worth it for Ning Fan to take the risk to repay him. After thinking for a while, he decided not to tell Yun Qingge about the Red Cloud Rain Sovereign's location. I obtained the Rain Sovereign's token by chance. When I got it, I didn't see your father's remains. Ning Fan said indifferently. Is that so? Yun Qingge closed her eyes sadly. Yu Chong, who was at the side, however, regained her senses at this moment and pouted her lips in dissatisfaction. Ning Fan, you're lying. You've obtained my insect sovereign's blood. When you lie, I can feel it. You definitely know where the remains of the Red Cloud Rain Sovereign are. Ning Fan looked at Yu Chong speechlessly. This little girl can actually tell that I'm lying. The insect sovereign's blood. Ning Fan already knew what the little girl meant by the insect sovereign's blood through some channels. She had saved him, helped him and gifted him blood with a kiss. She stole spiritual equipment and gave it to him. She was so silly and adorable. This was also the reason why Ning Fan took special care of Yu Chong. He did not expect that her insect sovereign's blood would have such a special effect. The Rain Sovereign knows where my father's remains are. Rain Sovereign, please tell me. Yun Qingge gritted his teeth and directly knelt in front of Ning Fan. If I can find my father's remains, I'm willing to become the Rain Sovereign's human cauldron. Master. Yu Chong became nervous. She hurriedly stood up and ran over to help Yun Qingge up. Of course, she could not help him up. Yun Qingge looked at Ning Fan with a pleading look. However, all he saw was Ning Fan's cold eyes. He was a heartless person. At least, he was heartless towards her. Plop. This time, Yu Chong also knelt down. Ning Fan's expression immediately changed. He stood up abruptly and flicked his sleeves to help Yu Chong and Yun Qingge up. What are you doing? Humph. Yu Chong ignored Ning Fan out of spite. However, she did not feel any sweetness in her heart. It was useless no matter how her master knelt. Ning Fan's heart softened when she knelt down. She did not know what kind of affection was behind it. Anyway, she just felt happy. Yun Qingge was stunned. Then, she looked at Yu Chong with a bitter expression and smiled self-mockingly. She had really underestimated Ning Fan. It was not like Ning Fan would fall in love with any woman. Yu Chong could enter his eyes, but she could not. Hong Yun is still alive. She's trapped somewhere. Ning Fan's indifferent voice entered Yun Qingge's ears. It instantly stunned her. Then, tears flowed down her cheeks. Her little thoughts turned into nothingness. All that was left was joy. She had already guessed that Ning Fan had his reasons for not telling her the location of her father's remains. However, she did not expect that the so-called reason was actually this exciting news. The place where Hong Yun was trapped must be a secret place. Otherwise, Ning Fan would not hide it from her. However, Yun Qingge frowned shortly after. Her father was trapped somewhere. Even with her father's sixth shattering realm cultivation base, he could not escape. It must be a dangerous place. She certainly did not have the ability to save her father. Reign Sovereign, please save my father. She was very smart. She did not ask where Hong Yun was trapped. Instead, she just begged Ning Fan to save her father. Ning Fan's eyes flickered. Before he could make a decision, Yu Chong smiled evilly and was about to kneel again. She even imitated her master's tone and said, "Reign Sovereign, please save the former Reign Sovereign." Yu Chong felt that she must have lost her mind. She actually found it interesting to tease Ning Fan like this. Ning Fan's eyes darkened. He grabbed Yu Chong and stopped her from kneeling. Is it fun to kneel here and there? Is this little girl doing this on purpose because she knew that I would be soft-hearted towards her? I. Yu Chong was a little scared. Ning Fan seemed to be really angry. It seemed like he had gone too far. Ning Fan's eyes slowly calmed down. He looked at Yu Chong and said indifferently, "I can save him. However, after that, he will no longer be the Reign Sovereign. You all have to understand this." For Yu Chong's sake, Ning Fan did not mind entering the Lost World Tower again to save Hong Yun. Of course, he did not want to save an enemy. If Hong Yun returned, would it trigger a conflict between the previous and current Reign Emperors? Moreover, Hong Yun knew that Ning Fan had stolen the time crystal. Therefore, even if Ning Fan manages to save Hong Yun, he would still erase his memories. There was one more thing he had to do before he could re-enter the Lost World Tower. Ning Fan decided to think of a way to replenish the time crystals of the 7th floor. He already had an idea on how to make up for it. After flying for 10 days, Ning Fan appeared on the Penglai Immortal Island in the external Endless Sea. Based on his relationship with Bei Xiaoman, he wouldn't need to pay to enter the Lost World Tower. Each entry would take at least a year, and before the time limit was up, one could not leave. As soon as he entered the 7th floor, he displayed the wind mist technique and began to tear the seal of the 8th floor. A few years later, he broke the barrier of the seal and entered the 8th floor again. There were 343 statues in this place. They were 343 Void Glimpse stage spiritual puppets. These puppets were proficient in secret puppet formations. If they attacked at the same time, even a Shatter Realm cultivator would die if he was caught off guard. One of the puppets was Hong Yun. Currently, Hong Yun's soul was attached to the spiritual puppet and he had already become a spiritual puppet. The moment he saw Ning Fan, he could not help but have an urge to burst into tears. This young man is here again. Is he here to save me this time? Before he could take a closer look at Ning Fan's current cultivation base, he saw Ning Fan directly walking towards the 7 stone platforms. He pointed his finger at the 7 stone platforms and 6 pieces of crystals were kept in his hand. Is this young man courting death? Hong Yun was shocked. From his point of view, Ning Fan was courting death by moving 7 stone platforms at the same time, taking the attacks of all the spiritual puppets in this place at the same time. Sigh. I've waited so long for this young man to come and save me. I can't imagine that this young man is going to die here as well. The statues began to turn into spiritual puppets. All 342 Void Glimpse stage spiritual puppets locked their killing intent on Ning Fan. Hongyun's spiritual puppet was the only one that did not attack Ning Fan. That was all he could do. He still could not control his body freely. Seeing the 342 spiritual puppets raising their fists at the same time, trying to smash Ning Fan into pieces, Hongyun sighed and closed his eyes. This young man must die. Just as this thought emerged in his mind, Hongyun opened his eyes in disbelief at the next moment. All of a sudden, a black moon appeared in Ning Fan's left eye. In just an instant, all the spiritual puppets knelt on the ground. What a joke! Ning Fan could already subdue Void Fragmentation Realm spiritual puppets. How could mere Void Glimpse stage spiritual puppets hurt him? 6th heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm. Hongyun was shocked. What he was shocked about was Ning Fan's terrifying cultivation speed. The Divine Transformation Realm Junior in the past had actually reached the 6th heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm now. Just how many years had passed? At the next moment, Hongyun lost consciousness. He was knocked out by Ning Fan and his memories were erased. It was not that Ning Fan was ruthless. It was just that there were some secrets that he could not let Hongyun know. Ordinary people could not make Hongyun's soul leave the spiritual puppet, but Ning Fan could do it. The black moon in his left eye appeared and extracted Hongyun's soul from the spiritual puppet. Then, he sighed. He could save Hongyun, but he did not want to get himself into trouble because of him. He only left Hongyun's memories when he was once the Rain Sovereign. As for the memories after he entered the Lost World Tower, he did not leave a single one. After keeping Hongyun's soul into his sleeve, Ning Fan looked at the 6 crystals in his hand. With a pinch of both of his hands, the 6 crystals became 7. Alright, the method Ning Fan used to make up for the 7th crystal was to extract some from each of the 6 crystals and condense them into the 7th crystal. He was not afraid that the Lost World Palace would investigate this matter. He just did not want to get into trouble. Once the crystals were divided, the time acceleration effect of each floor of the Lost World Tower would certainly be greatly reduced. However, this could also be attributed to the loss of the power of the crystals. After putting the crystals back into the 7 stone platforms, Ning Fan looked at the spiritual puppets on the ground. He did not have the intention to keep them. The cultivation level of these spiritual puppets was too weak and they were dispensable. However, they were the items of the Lost World Palace. Using the crystal guarding spiritual puppets of the Lost World Palace to show off was clearly telling others that he had entered the 8th floor and stolen the crystals. Ning Fan would not do such a foolish thing. He returned to the 7th floor. The time acceleration effect of the 7th floor was only 64 times, which was half of what it was at the beginning. For the remaining 60 years, Ning Fan would concoct pills and cultivate in this place. 1 year had passed in the outside world and Ning Fan left the Lost World Tower. Many cultivators complained that the time acceleration effect of the Lost World Tower had become weaker. However, this matter had nothing to do with Ning Fan. After returning to the middle state, Ning Fan handed Hongyun's soul to Yunchinga. After staying for a few more days, Ning Fan left the middle state. When Hongyun woke up, his eyes were blank. He did not remember what happened after he entered the Lost World Tower. Now, he only had his soul left. However, Hongyun was proficient in body-seizing cultivation techniques. It was not difficult for him to seize someone else's body and be reborn. However, whether or not his cultivation base could recover to the Void Fragmentation Realm was a problem. Even so, Yunchinga was still filled with gratitude towards Ning Fan. As long as her father was alive, she did not want him to become stronger, or did she want him to fight for the throne of the Rain Sovereign. As for Yu Chong-her, she kept blaming herself after Ning Fan left. She was very afraid that Ning Fan was still angry at her. She was just playing around with Ning Fan. The day of his departure was approaching. Ning Fan could not help but recall Lu Wan-her. She did not know that Ning Fan was about to ascend to the outer endless sea. When Ning Fan passed by the external endless sea, he wanted to go to the 9 divisions of the Lu clan to look for her. However, he realized that the place had already disappeared. The entire 9 divisions of the Lu clan had already ascended to the demon spirit land. Perhaps he could only meet Lu Wan again when he goes to the demon spirit land in the future. Ning Fan stood in the 7 apricot city's night snow for a long time. His mind was filled with the memories of his journey. It actually made him a little reluctant to leave the rain world. However, he must continue on this path without any hesitation. He could not afford to stop. All of a sudden, Ning Fan heard the voices of a few little girls who were drinking. He did not know whether to laugh or cry. "Drink. This is the spiritual wine that I stole from Brother Fan. Hee hee. This is my first time drinking wine." It was Ji Hee's voice. She sounded 90% drunk. "It's so spicy. It doesn't taste good." It was Mu Xiao Huan's weak voice. Cough cough. It was the sound of the 6-year-old version of Mu Weiliang choking. Plop. It was the sound of Mu Xiaoyang collapsing on the stone table. "You can't see me. You guys can't see me." It was Feng Shuyan's inner voice. She turned into a snowman and hid at the side to avoid drinking wine. The wine tasted terrible. She did not want to drink it. Plop. 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 Ning Fan heard the sounds of people falling to the ground one after another. In the end, even Feng Shuyan, who had turned into a snowman, could not hold back her curiosity. She drank a mouthful of the spiritual wine and fell to the ground gloriously. Ning Fan stepped into the courtyard and looked at the group of 5 who had fallen to the ground in a mess. He felt very helpless. He carried Feng Shuyan and the others back to their rooms. Eventually, he carried Ji He back to her room and placed her on the bed. The other few little girls drank less and were directly drunk. However, it did not take long for them to sober up. After all of them had cultivation bases. Only Ji He, the silly little girl, drank the most, which made Ning Fan's heart ache the most. She did not say anything. She did not say anything. All of a sudden, she really wanted to drink wine. She wanted to get drunk because her brother Fan was about to leave. She could not bear to part with him. However, she did not say anything. Silly girl, Ning Fan sighed apologetically. If it was possible, he did not care about his cultivation base. He just wanted to stay in Yu country for the rest of his life. However, there were still too many strong enemies in front of him. If he does not continue on his journey, he would not be able to protect anything. Ning Fan soaked a towel in water and boiled some hot water. He wanted to wipe Ji Hee's face and sober her up. After that, he wanted to give her some pills to sober up so that she would not feel uncomfortable when she woke up from her hangover. When he returned to the bed, he saw Ji Hee lying on one side with her body tilted. She looked extremely disobedient. Her fox fur coat had fallen to the ground. The belt of her undergarments had also been untied unknowingly, revealing her pinkish-red undergarment. Her fair and small hands were clawing at the outer part of her clothes in a daze. It was unknown why she felt so uncomfortable. Her brows were slightly knitted and her eyes were half closed, twisting her body. She murmured softly. "Brother Fan. Are you going to leave for a long time? Ji He will miss you very much." "I can't bear to leave you," Ning Fan's heart ached. He was also reluctant to leave Ji He and the 7 apricot city. However, how could he bring these girls with him? Should he let them follow him to slaughter? Should he let them witness the cruelty of the cultivation world? Or should he let them be imprisoned in the cauldron ring and accompany Ning Fan into danger? The rain world was very safe and peaceful. It was just that, there was no Ning Fan, sorry. Ning Fan sat on the bed and pulled a thin quilt to cover Ji He. Who would have thought that when the quilt was just covered, Ji He's small hand waved and the quilt was pulled to the side. She kicked her feet and one of her shoes fell off. Her plain white socks were half taken off, revealing a white and tender ankle. Then, she turned over and lied on her back. Her nose emitted a small humming sound. Her brows were knitted even tighter and her lips were slightly pouting like a coquettish rabbit. Brother Fan. Ji He is willing to be your cauldron forever. Because if I am a cauldron, I can accompany you in danger, accompany you in life and accompany you in death. Her low voice made Ning Fan feel even more guilty. Ji He gently turned over again. Her previously untied clothes were completely open. The undergarment was originally covered by the outer garment, so it was not visible. As soon as it was revealed, it was almost tilted to one side. On the other side, half of her fragrant shoulder was exposed. Even the soft snow on one side of her chest was not covered in the slightest. That captivating redness seemed to be cold as it trembled and slowly stood upright. It was too tempting, Brother Fan. Ji He feels uncomfortable. She groaned in a low voice and opened her sleepy eyes. Her small hand grabbed Ning Fan's sleeve. Where do you feel uncomfortable? Ning Fan asked gently. Here, here and here, and here. Ji He randomly pointed at her delicate body. Eventually, her finger pointed at her heart. That place was really uncomfortable. She really could not bear to part with Ning Fan, but she knew that everything he did was for her. All right, I will feel better soon. The bed curtain was gently lowered. Ning Fan took off his clothes and pressed it down. Brother Fan, go home early. Ji He said with teary eyes. You are not allowed to die. 1 year later, the rain sovereign of the evil cloud rain world announced his seclusion. Few people knew where he went. Only a few people knew that Ning Fan had already embarked on the path of ascension. Those who went with him were only those cauldrons, that Niali and the tiny Mu Whalyang. The reason why he brought the tiny Mu Whalyang up to the sky was to find the immortal soul grass to help her grow up. He would never turn back even if the mountains and rivers were to remain silent forever. He would never let go of her even if the whole world was his enemy. Chapter 698. The sky was covered with a faint bloody mist, and the sun also emitted a blood-red light. Blood burial grass grew all over the bloody plains. A team of red-haired female cultivators were patrolling the bloody plain while riding a type of horned blood-colored horse. This team of female cultivators was not weak, all of them were soul formation cultivators. There were 19 of them in total, and all of them had serious expressions. That's strange. I clearly sensed that someone had entered our country, but why can't I see anyone? A late divine transformation realm female cultivator frowned and said. Could it be another spy from the other 6 nations? Another soul formation mid-stage female cultivator guessed. That's possible. The palace master's lifespan has come to an end. The flower devils of the other 6 nations will naturally become restless. Their goal is nothing more than master's relic. Humph, they really don't know palace master's good intentions. Master's relic is being protected by that ferocious creature. How can they take it? Not letting them take it is just for their own good. The palace master's character is still too weak. If I had the palace master's cultivation, I would have killed the rebels of the other 6 countries long ago. How could I have given them the chance to rebel? Shut up. Is the palace lord's right or wrong something that a servant like you can discuss? This subordinate knows his mistake. This subordinate dares not speak anymore. Humph. I will punish you when we get back. Let's go. A group of female cultivators came and went like the wind, and soon left. A long time after the women left, a white-robed young man and a frail red-haired woman suddenly appeared on the bloody plain. "Palace Master's time is up. What should we do?" The red-haired woman frowned when she heard the news, her expression mournful. She looked at the white-robed youth beside her, and for the first time, a pleading expression appeared on her face. "I beg you, please save the palace lord, just like how you saved me." "Oh. You want me to pluck your palace lord?" The white-robed youth looked at the red-haired woman with an indescribable look in his eyes. The white-robed young man was none other than Ning Fan, who had entered the blood slave garden. As for that red-haired lady, she was the red-haired human cauldron that he had subdued before. "So be it. It's better than dying." The red-haired woman bit her lip. "What's the cultivation base of your palace lord?" Ning Fan asked indifferently. Ninth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. The red-haired lady dared not lie. "She's not a bad cauldron, but why didn't she destroy her own cultivation base? That way, she could have saved her life. There's no need for me to pluck them. She won't cripple her cultivation. She will protect the blood slave palace even if she dies. She's too stubborn, is that so? Now, tell me all the specific information about the 7 countries in the blood world. Unless you promise to save the palace lord, otherwise, she is a good cauldron, I naturally won't waste it. Now, you can speak." Ning Fan said coldly. "Okay, I'll talk." Ning Fan passed a jade slip to the red-haired lady. She recorded all the information she knew into the jade slip. After reading the information in the jade slip, Ning Fan's eyes flashed. The blood slave garden used to be the private garden of the slaughter hall's elder Fu Linglong. It was used to rear flower demons. One day, Fu Linglong suddenly made a mistake in her cultivation and died in the blood slave garden. All of her belongings were stored somewhere. Only the palace masters of the blood slave palace knew where it was. It was said that Fu Linglong had a private passageway to and from the eastern heaven immortal world, and it was at the place where the relics were stored. This passage was the main purpose of his trip. Of course, the entire void fragmentation realm cauldron in the blood slave garden was also one of Ning Fan's objectives. Among the 7 countries in the blood world, the blood slave palace was located in blood burial country. Only one of its palace lords was at the void fragmentation realm. The other void fragmentation realm experts had already betrayed the blood slave palace and built their own devil country. Among the other 6 countries, there were no less than 100 void fragmentation realm female cultivators. All of them were eager to obtain the relics left behind by Fu Linglong. Although their lifespan was limited, none of them was willing to destroy their own cultivation base. If they can obtain Fu Linglong's relics, they would certainly be able to restore their lifespan. Among the 100 void fragmentation realm female cultivators, the highest cultivation base was only at the 7th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Even though there were many experts in the 6 countries, none of them had a cultivation base that was higher than the palace lord of the blood slave palace. Relying on the palace protecting immortal formation, the palace lord had blocked the attacks of the invading enemies time and time again. However, his lifespan had come to an end now and his life was in danger. If the experts of the 6 countries come to invade again, he might not have the strength to resist them. "I'm afraid that the moment your palace lord dies will be the moment the blood burial country is annihilated by the other 6 countries." Ning Fan kept the jade slip and said, "No. My palace lord is such a good person. How can he die? Those detestable traitors. They don't even know that my palace lord is risking his life just to protect them. They are a bunch of heartless traitors." The red-haired cauldron said angrily. Just now, those female cultivators said that there is a ferocious creature at the place where Fu Linglong's relics are kept. It's extremely dangerous. What is that ferocious creature? I don't know. I should say that no one knows what that ferocious creature is. However, that ferocious creature is indeed powerful. There were a few generations of palace lords who had cultivated to the rogue devil realm. They entered the secret place in an attempt to obtain the relics, but they were easily torn into pieces by that ferocious creature. A ferocious creature that can easily tear rogue devils into pieces. Ning Fan frowned. In that case, this mysterious ferocious creature really cannot be underestimated. Whether it is to find Fu Linglong's relics or to use the passage to ascend to the eastern heaven, he would need to confront that ferocious creature. That ferocious creature has at least a life immortal realm cultivation base. Even though Ning Fan was not weak, he did not think that he could survive a life immortal realm cultivator. Moreover, what if that ferocious creature's cultivation base is higher than the life immortal realm? My good brother, don't be afraid. That ferocious creature has a peak life immortal realm cultivation base, but it has yet to attain the true immortal realm. With my current cultivation base, it won't be difficult to kill it. Suddenly, a voice that he had not heard for a long time resounded in his mind. Ning Fan's eyes turned gentle. Little you heir, your primordial spirit, it has completely recovered. Even without a physical body, it can still exert the strength of the true crossing realm. If I can find a true immortal's corpse, I'm afraid I can recover my void-shedding realm cultivation base in one go. I can sense that there is a true immortal's corpse in this blood world which is being guarded by that ferocious creature. Fu Linglong's corpse. Ning Fan was not an idiot. He had already guessed the key point. Who is Fu Linglong? Speaking of which, why are you here? Luo Yu asked in surprise. Ning Fan closed his eyes and told her about his ascension and the information about the blood slave garden through his mind. Are you already going to ascend? A faint sigh resounded in the profound Yin world. With the pills given by Tai Wu, Luo Yu's primordial spirit had been completely recovered. There was also a true immortal's corpse which could be considered as a perfect female corpse for her to revive. As for Ning Fan, he ascended to the eastern heaven as soon as he left the blood slave garden. Is the eastern heaven the place where I will part ways with him? Are you 100% confident in killing that ferocious creature? Ning Fan asked again. So what if it's at the peak life immortal realm? I can kill it with just a finger. Luo Yu smiled enchantingly. If that's the case, there's nothing to worry about. Fu Linglong's corpse, her belongings, and the ascension passage are all here. No matter what, this ferocious creature must be eliminated. Little you heir, take a rest first. Don't exhaust the power of your primordial spirit before dealing with that ferocious creature. Ning Fan closed his eyes and communicated with Luo Yu using his mind. He stood still for a long time. The red-haired human cauldron did not dare to disturb him. All of a sudden, the sound of a horn resounded throughout the entire Blood Death country. Countless blood-red smoke beacons rose into the sky from all directions. Not good. The war has begun. The 6 countries have begun to attack the Blood Death country. The red-haired human cauldron's face instantly turned pale. The fact that the 6 countries had begun to attack the Blood Death country indicated that the palace lord was not far from death. I beg you. Hurry up and save the palace lord. She must still be forcing herself to protect the blood slave palace. I beg you. Remove the shackles in her heart. The red-haired human cauldron hugged Ning Fan's leg and cried. Ning Fan slowly opened his eyes. He flicked his sleeves and lifted the red-haired human cauldron up. Then, he looked at the smoke beacons in the distance with a slightly solemn expression. He could vaguely sense that there were more than 100 void fragmentation realm auras rushing towards the Blood Death country. Is the palace lord of the Blood Slave Palace really going to die? How can I let the human cauldron that caught my eye die so easily? Ning Fan took out his ancient golden sword and carried the red-haired human cauldron on his sword, heading straight for the capital of the Blood Death country. The Blood Slave Palace was right there. The tiny Mu Weiliang was staying inside the cauldron ring. At this moment, Ning Fan no longer needed to hide his ruthlessness. He wanted to subdue all the void fragmentation realm flower devils in the entire blood slave garden into his human cauldrons. In the blood slave palace, a lady with red hair tied up in a bun was half leaning on the bed while being served by two female cultivators. Her face was extremely pale. The life force in her body was rapidly fading away. Am I going to die in the end? Unfortunately, there is no one in the blood slave palace who can shoulder the responsibility of becoming the next palace lord and keeping the 6 countries in check. After I die, those people will definitely enter the secret place. They are courting death. I just want to protect them, but they don't know. The lady in the palace dress let out a long sigh. The other female cultivators at the side revealed a look of indignation. Humph. Palace Lord is being nice to them, but they don't know it. They only know how to bite the hand that feeds them. In my opinion, we should let them enter the secret place and let them be eaten by those ferocious creatures. Palace Lord, why don't you cripple your own cultivation base? As long as you cripple your own cultivation base, you can solve the flaw of the flower devil body. Another female cultivator asked carefully. No. If I lose my cultivation base, I will just be a cripple. What's the difference between that and death? If I keep my cultivation base, I can still protect the blood slave palace for a period of time before I die. By the way, is there any news about number 431? It has been so many years. Is there still no news about her? Number 431 was the name of the red-haired human cauldron that Ning Fan subdued. There's no news at all. The two female cultivators sighed. They knew that their palace lord was a person who cherished old friendships. Is that so? The lady in the palace dress closed her eyes tiredly. At the next moment, her phoenix-like eyes widened in anger. She heard sounds and bugles coming from all directions. She saw the entire country being engulfed in the flames of war. Great enemies were invading. I haven't died yet and they are already so impatient, huh? Cough. The lady in the palace dress was enraged. She turned over and got off the bed. However, she felt a sharp pain in her chest. She coughed out blood and her face became even paler. She wiped away the blood and walked out of the blood slave palace in anger. Outside the blood slave palace, countless female cultivators of her country had already died in battle. The void fragmentation realm experts of the 6 countries stood in the sky. With a wave of their hands, they could reap the lives of divine transformation realm and void refinement realm female cultivators. Oh. Number 1 is actually still alive. A beautiful woman with scales on her face sneered. Number 1 was the name of the palace lord of the blood slave palace. As for her, she was number 2. If number 1 dies, she could replace him. Stop it at once. Master has said that we flower devils are not allowed to kill each other. The lady in the palace dress rebuked angrily. Hee hee. Master has been dead for 6,400,000 years. As for us flower devils, we are no longer the batch that he raised. Why do we have to listen to his orders? Number 1, you don't have to use his name to suppress us. If you are sensible, cripple your own cultivation base and scram to one side. For the sake of our past relationship, we can spare your life. Another beautiful woman in black armor threatened coldly. She was number 3. She also had the cultivation base of the 7th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Have you all forgotten the teachings of our ancestors? Even if our master is dead, we must still follow all of his orders unless the next master appears. The lady in the palace dress said while clenching her teeth. Of course we haven't forgotten. We are here to look for our master's belongings and to solve the flaws of the flower devils. Moreover, we are here to look for our master's token to become the master of the blood slave garden. As long as we find the token, even a mere palace lord like you will have to serve us as your master. Another beautiful woman said coldly. There is only one token and one master. Which one of you is going to be the master of the blood slave garden? The lady in the palace dress replied with a cold smile. This. The expressions of many void fragmentation realm female cultivators changed slightly. They began to be wary of one another. The beautiful woman in the scale armor giggled and waved her hand. Sisters, don't be provoked by this bitch. Who will inherit the token is a matter for the future. Let's destroy the blood slave palace first, enter the secret place and seize the token. Then, we will fight for the position of the master. What do you think? Elder sister is right. We were almost provoked by this bitch. Kill her. Humph. Let's do it. More than 100 void fragmentation realm female cultivators activated their secret techniques at the same time. Rays of blood light hit the sky and it immediately rained blood. The lady in the palace dress was shocked. She immediately ordered, all of you, quickly enter the blood slave palace. Don't get hit by the blood rain. As soon as she finished speaking, she immediately took out a blood-colored formation plate and activated a blood-colored immortal formation outside the blood slave palace in an attempt to resist the blood rain. Outside the blood slave palace, 1/3 of the female cultivators escaped into the formation light of the palace. As for the other 2/3, their bodies were drenched by the blood rain. Their bodies dissolved into blood water uncontrollably. In just a few breaths, at least tens of thousands of divine transformation realm and void refinement realm female cultivators had fallen. Since all of you disobeyed the master's last order and killed the flower devil sisters, don't blame me for being merciless. Exquisite blood formation, kill. The blood-colored immortal formation suddenly shone brightly. Countless blood arrows shot out from the formation light. Each of the blood arrows was powerful enough to kill a cultivator instantly. All the void fragmentation realm experts of the 6 countries turned pale. Only the beautiful woman in the scale armor sneered. She raised her hand and took out another formation plate. Exquisite blood formation, kill. What she said was exactly the same as what the beautiful woman in the palace dress said. As soon as she raised her hand, all the void fragmentation realm experts of the 6 countries were protected by layers of blood-colored formation light. That blood-colored formation light was exactly the same as the formation light of the blood slave palace. Countless blood arrows also shot out and collided with the blood arrows that came from afar. Gradually, cracks appeared on the large formation light of the blood slave palace. Cracks also appeared on the formation light of the beautiful woman in the scale armor. In the end, the 2 formations were broken at the same time. All the formation plates in the hands of the beautiful woman in the scale armor and the woman in the palace dress were destroyed. You actually have the second immortal formation plate that our master created in the past. The woman in the palace dress said in disbelief. Humph. If I didn't have this item, how would I dare to come and find trouble with you? Now that you don't have the protection of the formation light, even though your cultivation base is high, your lifespan has reached its limit. If you recklessly use your cultivation base, I'm afraid you will die even faster. Hee hee. Sister, go and die now. Go. The beautiful woman in the scale armor waved her hand. The hundreds of void fragmentation realm female cultivators behind her all rushed towards the woman in the palace dress with ferocious killing intent. The woman in the palace dress wanted to perform a hand seal and continue to resist. However, she felt a pain in her chest again. She coughed out blood and her eyes were filled with despair. I'm afraid that the blood slave garden is going to suffer heavy casualties this time. Yes, she would die. All of these void fragmentation realm female cultivators would enter the secret place and die. It was her incompetence as the palace lord that led to this situation today. Palace lord. A familiar female voice suddenly entered the ears of the woman in the palace dress. She turned her head in disbelief and saw a ray of golden sword light rushing towards her from afar. Within that golden light, there was an unfamiliar man in white robes and a familiar red-haired woman. That was number 431 who had been missing for a long time, sister, you. She had too many questions that she wanted to ask the red-haired human cauldron. For example, where did she go for the past tens of years? Another example was how she was bold enough to bring a man from the outside world into the blood slave garden. Doesn't she know that this is against the ancestral teachings? Before she had the chance to ask, that golden sword light had already blocked the path of the hundreds of void fragmentation realm female cultivators. A man. All the void fragmentation realm experts of the 6 countries were stunned. They did not expect that a man would actually appear in the blood slave garden. Inside the blood slave palace, countless female cultivators were also staring at that white-robed young man in disbelief. They had never seen a man in their entire lives. Take this pill to your palace lord and let her consume it. It will save her life. As for these human cauldrons, I will collect them. He gave the red-haired human cauldron a pill and ordered her to descend to the blood slave palace. His cold eyes swept across the hundreds of void fragmentation realm human cauldrons in front of him. Cauldrons. In his eyes, all of these flower devils were high-grade human cauldrons. Humph. This man seems to be the helper of number 1. Kill him. The beautiful lady in the scale armor ordered coldly. Before the hundreds of void fragmentation realm female cultivators could attack Ning Fan, he had already taken action. He took a step forward and turned into black robes. His eyes became even colder and merciless. He raised his hand and extracted and devoured their souls. His cultivation base was already close to that of a rogue immortal. At this moment, Ning Fan was even stronger than the palace lord of the blood slave palace. Moreover, his techniques had a heaven-defying effect on female cultivators. An imprisoning rope. The black-robed Ning Fan made a grabbing motion with his large hand. Hundreds of imprisoning ropes flew out from his sleeves like silver snakes and flew towards each of the void fragmentation realm female cultivators. At this moment, Ning Fan's cultivation base had far surpassed the female cultivators on the scene. No one could escape from his imprisoning rope unless they were immortals. Bind! 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 Each of the void fragmentation realm female cultivators was tied up by the imprisoning rope and thrown outside the blood slave palace by Ning Fan without any mercy. It doesn't matter if one of them is broken, 2 of them are fine. Even if they are broken into 5 or 6 pieces, they can only be tied up obediently. The black-armored beautiful lady was terrified. She turned around and wanted to run away, but Ning Fan grabbed her and threw her to the ground. The scaly beautiful lady was scared to death. Ning Fan's current cultivation base was comparable to a rogue immortal. However, his combat power against female cultivators was almost comparable to a life immortal. It was a deadly restraint. She did not have any strength to resist at all. She gritted her teeth and took out a formation disc, trying to teleport away. However, Ning Fan raised his hand and crushed the formation disc. He then tied her up with the rope and carried her like a little chick. After keeping the ancient golden sword, Ning Fan landed on the ground. His eyes indifferently scanned across the female cultivators on the scene and eventually, his gaze fell on the lady in palace attire. You are not the master of the blood slave garden. Let them go. You don't have the right to pluck them. The lady in palace attire reprimanded him sternly. She was not a fool. How could she not see that Ning Fan was an enemy and not a friend? Even if he saved the people of the blood slave palace, it was definitely not out of kindness. Interesting. What if I become the master of the blood slave garden? If you become the master of the blood slave garden, you can naturally pluck all the human cauldrons in this place. We were born to be human cauldrons for our master. As you wish. Ning Fan casually threw the scaly beautiful lady on the ground and instructed the red-haired human cauldron beside him. Tell the people of your blood slave palace to keep a close eye on these traitors. As for you, Ning Fan's gaze shifted to the lady in palace attire and gave her a rare smile. Bring me to the secret place. I will look for your messenger now and become the master of your blood-slave garden. He still admired women with backbone. There are no more updates. Everyone, go to bed early. Chapter 699. Ning Fan did not directly pluck the 100-plus void fragmentation realm human cauldrons that he captured. He already knew that as long as he obtained the token left behind by Fu Linglong, he would be able to inherit the position of the master of the blood-slave garden and make all the flower devils in the entire blood world willingly become his cauldron. Since he could deal with the problem peacefully, he naturally would not force himself on the female cultivators of this place. The palace lord's mind raced. She gritted her teeth and really brought Ning Fan to the secret place. She could tell that Ning Fan's strength was above hers. Moreover, he was born to restrain female cultivators. His strength alone was enough to sweep across the entire blood world. Resisting was an unwise move. Since he wanted to go to the secret place, the palace lord would certainly not stop him. If Ning Fan really defeats the ferocious creature in the secret place and obtains Fu Linglong's token, he would become the master of the blood world. At that time, the palace lord would also bring the flower devils of this place to serve Ning Fan and become his cauldron without Ning Fan's command. If Ning Fan was not a match for the ferocious creature and died in the secret place, he would naturally not attack the female cultivators of this place. Why wouldn't he bring Ning Fan to the secret place? What do you think are my chances of becoming the master of the blood world? Ning Fan asked indifferently. 9 out of 10 chances of survival. The palace lord also answered indifferently. In her opinion, Ning Fan was not weak, but he was definitely not a match for that ferocious creature at the life immortal realm. What's your name? Number 1. Is that so? While speaking, the palace lord had already brought Ning Fan to the back garden of the blood slave palace. It was a garden that was sealed by blood marks. The two of them walked to the back of one of the artificial mountains in the garden. The palace lord made a hand seal and the artificial mountain suddenly disappeared, revealing a hole in the ground. This is the place where my master went into seclusion. That ferocious creature is inside. My master's belongings are also inside. The palace lord said indifferently. Ning Fan did not immediately enter the hole. Instead, he used the mind-reading technique to read her mind. After finding out that she was not lying, Ning Fan nodded and said, "Wait for me here." As soon as he finished speaking, his body turned into a ray of light and flew into the hole. The palace lord shook her head gently and sighed. If you can really bring my master's token out, you will be my master. However, you can't do it. That ferocious creature isn't something you can defeat. The hole was so deep that the bottom could not be seen. After flying for an unknown period of time, he finally stepped on the ground. There was no path on 3 sides, only a 1 zhang tall passageway in front of them. The floor was paved with bluestone, and the walls on both sides were embedded with moonlight stones for illumination. There was an extremely dangerous aura looming in front of the tunnel. 30,000 feet ahead, there is a copper palace. That peak life immortal monster is there. You wait here, I will handle this battle. Luo Yu's voice rang out in his mind. Ning Fan remained silent for a moment. Then, he activated the power of the Yin-Yang locket and released Luo Yu from the profound Yin world. Today, Luo Yu was wrapped in a light pink dress with a white muslin garment on the outside, revealing her beautiful neck and clearly visible collarbone. The hem of her dress was like moonlight flowing on the ground, and it was pulled up more than 3 feet. Her long black hair was casually tied up with a white hairband. He didn't dress up on purpose, but he had an extraordinary temperament. Luo Yu turned her head indifferently and gave Ning Fan an enchanting smile. Wait for me for 10 breaths. She only needed 10 breaths of time to exterminate the vicious creatures here. Just how confident was she? Ning Fan nodded. He trusted Luo Yu's strength very much. Now that Luo Yu's primordial spirit had completely recovered, she could display a trace of the strength of the true crossing realm. This kind of strength was enough to crush the vicious creatures here. Luo Yu took a step forward and her soft and boneless body suddenly turned into traces of water vapor, dispersing in the air. At the next moment, he heard a shrill roar of a beast coming from the front of the tunnel. 1 breath. 2 breaths. 3 breaths. On the 8th breath, Luo Yu's soft voice came from the front. Silly little brother, you can come over now. So fast. Ning Fan's eyes flashed. With a flash, he disappeared from his original spot. At the next moment, he appeared in a massive copper palace. The 4 sides of the copper palace were lit with everlasting lamps. The 4 walls were engraved with murals. At the center of the copper palace, Luo Yu stood elegantly on the head of a gigantic beast. That beast was already dead. Before Ning Fan could see the appearance of that gigantic beast clearly, it suddenly flashed with a bright light and turned into a blood-red talisman. Its spiritual light dimmed. Then, that talisman combusted without any fire and turned into ashes in an instant. Talisman demon. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. If he was not mistaken, the so-called vicious creature in the secret place was a talisman demon. The art of talismans was broad and profound. A powerful talisman master could summon a demon to attack the enemy by simply drawing a talisman. There were also many powerful cultivators who preferred to use talisman demons to guard their abode. Little brother's eyesight is really sharp. This vicious creature is a talisman demon. Luo Yu landed on the ground and flew to Ning Fan's side. Her face was slightly pale. It seemed like killing this talisman demon was not as easy as it seemed. After all, she was just in the form of her primordial spirit. Are you alright? Ning Fan's eyes were filled with concern. I'm fine. I just used the power of my primordial spirit recklessly. I'm just a little tired. It's alright. The stone chamber in front should be the place where Fu Linglong goes into seclusion. I can sense that there is the corpse of a thought fragmentation realm expert in that chamber. Let's use this corpse to resurrect. Alright. The 2 of them walked forward. After passing through several copper palaces, they arrived at the stone chamber of a secret place. The stone chamber could not be opened from the outside. They could only break it open by force. The defense of the stone chamber was extremely strong. With Ning Fan's current strength, it was impossible for him to break it open. Luo Yu once again used up a lot of the power of her primordial spirit to break the stone chamber. The stone chamber was not big. It only had an ice bed, a bookshelf and a jade table. On the ice bed, there was a lady in blood-red clothes. She was extremely beautiful, but she was just a corpse. The owner of this corpse was the Lord of the Blood World who had fallen 6,400,000 years ago, Fu Linglong. Perhaps it was because of the cold qi of the ice bed, this lady's corpse had not rotted even after 6 million years. There was a stone door in the stone chamber. On the other side of the door was a massive stone palace. There was a massive blood formation in the stone palace. That blood formation was the teleportation formation that led directly to the Eastern Heaven Immortal World. Luo Yu walked to the side of the ice bed and took off the storage pouch on Fu Linglong's waist. Without even looking at it, she directly passed it to Ning Fan. The token of the Lord of the Blood World is most likely in this storage pouch. If you get it, you can inherit the position of the Lord of the Blood World and control this flower devil cauldron as you please. Luo Yu then flipped through the jade slips on the bookshelf. After reading the contents, she sighed softly. They are all anecdotes and unofficial history related to immortal emperors. They are not very useful. It seems like this Fu Linglong wanted to enter seclusion here to become an immortal emperor in the past. Unfortunately, something happened and she died here. Ning Fan also looked at the jade slips and shook his head. None of them were useful. Then, he looked at the storage pouch again. There were many empty pill bottles inside. Judging from the pill fragrance left in the bottles, the pills inside were at least 9th revolution pills. Unfortunately, they were all eaten by Fu Linglong. Cultivation methods, none. Magic treasures, none. Dao crystals, none. However, there was a blood jade token that caught Ning Fan's attention. There was only one word engraved on the token, kill. Just the word kill made Ning Fan's expression change. The killing intent contained in the token was very strong. This is the Elder Token of the Slaughter Palace. Silly brother, you've really picked up a treasure this time. However, this treasure is also a hot potato. Luo Yu looked at Ning Fan with a faint smile. What do you mean? Ning Fan asked with a frown. Luo Yu looked at the blood jade token fondly and sighed. Then, she returned the token to Ning Fan and began to explain the benefits of the token. All the heavenly laws of the four heavens were set by the four mysterious sect. The four mysterious sect was a great force that transcended the four heavens. It included tens of thousands of forces in the four heavens. Among the countless forces, the Western Heaven Jade Pool, the Eastern Heaven Godly Void Pavilion, the Northern Heaven Lost World Palace and the Southern Heaven Purple Mansion Academy were the biggest forces. Old Devil was the deacon of the four heavens. Thus, he was considered as a member of the four mysterious sect. The four mysterious sect was powerful, but it did not mean that they could cover the sky with one hand within the four heavens. For example, in the Eastern Heaven Immortal World, there was the Slaughter Palace that disobeyed the heavenly laws set by the four mysterious sect. The Slaughter Palace was also a transcendent force. It was said that they had Sha Di as their leader and their foundation was unfathomable. The Slaughter Palace rarely recruited disciples from the outside. They would only recruit one disciple every 1,000 years and the disciples they recruited would definitely be invincible among their peers. Every disciple of the Slaughter Palace was a fiendish star that ran amok in the world. The elders of the Slaughter Palace had great authority. With the Elder Token in their hands, they could mobilize 100 true Immortal Realm assassins from the sect at any time. The elders of the Slaughter Palace were not appointed. Instead, they were promoted by killing each other. As long as one could kill the elders of the previous generation and obtain the Elder Token, one would become an elder of the Slaughter Palace. Since Ning Fan had Fu Linglong's Elder Token, he would be considered as an elder of the Slaughter Palace. He had the authority to mobilize 100 true Immortal Realm assassins from the palace. With 100 true Immortal Realm assassins, Ning Fan could wipe out most of the forces in the Eastern Heaven Immortal World. From this point of view, the Elder Token was definitely a good item that was hard to come by. However, if others know that Ning Fan had the Elder Token, there would be countless people who would hunt him down for it. After all, as long as they kill Ning Fan and obtain the Elder Token, they could become an elder of the Slaughter Palace. From this point of view, this token was definitely a disaster. After listening to Luo Yu's explanation, Ning Fan felt tempted but also helpless. Even though this token was good, it was not something that he could possess now. If he runs to the Slaughter Palace now and summon the true immortals to help him with the token, he was afraid that countless disciples of the Slaughter Palace would immediately kill him and seize the token. This token can only be seen but not used. Ning Fan shook his head helplessly. There is another use for this Elder Token. Luo Yu continued. What is it? If you join the Slaughter Palace and take the initiative to hand over the Elder Token, it will be recorded as a merit and you will be rewarded personally by Sha Di. TSK. Sha Di of the Slaughter Palace is one of the top immortal emperors in the Eastern Heaven Immortal World. If he bestows you with the opportunity, it will be enough for you to enjoy for the rest of your life. Oh. This Elder Token also has such a use. Ning Fan looked at the blood jade token in his hand and remained silent for a while. Then, he said, forget it. The use of this token is not something that I care about now. With this token, I can subdue all the human cauldrons in the blood world. That's enough. What about you, little you heir? Do you want to be resurrected here with this corpse? That's what I plan to do. I need some pills that can speed up the fusion of primordial spirit and corpse. That's easy. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and tens of bottles of pills immediately appeared on the jade table beside him. Ning Fan looked at her, wanting to say something but hesitated. Luo Yu's primordial spirit had been completely restored and she had also found a perfect corpse. Moreover, she had pills that could speed up the fusion of her primordial spirit into her body. Her resurrection was finally imminent. If she succeeds in resurrecting, she would probably leave this place. Luo Yu averted her gaze, not daring to look at Ning Fan. She hid the reluctance in her heart deeply. She had to leave this place eventually. She had to leave this place quietly and search for opportunities in silence. She would cultivate to a higher cultivation realm step by step. Countless years later, when her cultivation realm was strong enough, she would avenge her clansmen. Her enemy was too strong. She did not want to bring any trouble to Ning Fan. The grade of this physical body isn't low. If I use this body to resurrect, my cultivation base will certainly recover to the renunciation void realm in one go. However, the resurrection time will be relatively longer. It will take me at least 10 years to completely resurrect. I will seal this secret place and cultivate here for 10 years. 10 years later, come and find me. Okay. Okay. There are many void fragmentation realm human cauldrons in the blood world. If I pluck all of them, my cultivation base will certainly skyrocket. However, I will need a lot of time to cultivate. 10 years later, I will come and find you. Ning Fan glanced at Luo Yu apologetically. Then, he turned around and walked out of the secret place. He knew that because his cultivation realm was too low, Luo Yu did not tell him the things that were weighing on her heart. If his cultivation base was higher, perhaps Luo Yu would ask him for help. Luo Yu let out a soft sigh. Looking at Ning Fan's somewhat lonely back, she remained silent for a long time. When a shrill beast roar spread out of the secret place, the palace master of the Blood Slave Palace was completely dumbfounded. When Ning Fan appeared in front of her with the blood jade token in his hand, the palace master's beautiful face turned pale with fright. Without saying a word, she directly knelt in front of Ning Fan. This servant greets Master. Master. As long as Ning Fan obtains this blood jade token, he would be the master of the blood world from today onwards. As for the female cultivators of the entire blood world, they would all become Ning Fan's human cauldrons. On this day, Ning Fan subdued the entire blood slave garden. There were a total of 100,000 female cultivators in the 7 countries of the blood world. All of them had become Ning Fan's human cauldrons. Even though there were a lot of human cauldrons, Ning Fan did not have the time to pluck them one by one. To the current him, plucking divine transformation realm and void refinement realm human cauldrons was almost useless. The flower devils in the blood slave garden were all transformed from the blood burial grass. As soon as the flower devils in this place were born, they possessed divine transformation realm cultivation base. However, because of that, their lifespans were reduced. After Ning Fan became the master of the blood world, the first thing he did was to plant a restriction on all the flower devils in this place. Then, he ordered all the divine transformation realm and void refinement realm female cultivators to destroy their cultivation base and recultivate from scratch. Only by recultivating from scratch could the problem of their lifespans be eradicated. As for the 100+ void fragmentation realm female cultivators, all of them were plucked by Ning Fan one by one. Through plucking, he destroyed their cultivation base and made them recultivate from scratch. After that, all 100,000 flower devils were kept into Ning Fan's cauldron world. The 7 countries of the blood world were all kept into Ning Fan's cauldron world. Currently, the blood world was already barren. Ning Fan entered the profound Yin world alone to enter seclusion. It was the first time he did not have Luo Yu by his side. From today onwards, he would no longer have this woman by his side. After plucking more than 100 void fragmentation realm human cauldrons, the cultivation method of his yin-yang transformation improved to the 3rd and 4th level. One had to admit that the yin-yang transformation was gradually showing its powerful side. For ordinary devil cultivators, plucking a void fragmentation realm human cauldron was equivalent to consuming a void fragmentation realm Dao fruit. It could only increase their magic power by around 1 million units. If converted to magic power, it was only equivalent to 500 units. For some powerful devil cultivation methods, plucking a void fragmentation realm human cauldron might be able to increase their magic power by 2 to 3,000 units. However, plucking a void fragmentation realm human cauldron could increase his magic power by nearly 5,000 units. In addition to the divine effect of the ancient god heart aperture, a void fragmentation realm human cauldron was equivalent to 10,000 units of magic power. After plucking all the human cauldrons, Ning Fan's magic power had reached a total of 4.3 million units. The yin-yang transformation was definitely not something that ordinary dual cultivation devil cultivation methods could be compared to. If he had 1,000 more void fragmentation realm human cauldrons, Ning Fan was confident that he could attain the peak level of the 9 shattering realm in one go. Unfortunately, void fragmentation realm human cauldrons were not cabbages that could be found anywhere. It was probably very difficult to find a second one like the Blood World, which had more than 100 void fragmentation realm human cauldrons. Even in the 4 heavens, void fragmentation realm human cauldrons were not easily obtainable. 10 years had passed. Ning Fan returned to the ruins of the Blood Slave Palace and entered the secret place to look for Luo Yu. Luo Yu had already removed the seal of the secret place. Currently, she had already been completely resurrected and refined her physical body, restoring her original appearance. She sat on the ice bed, quietly waiting for Ning Fan's arrival. She had no choice but to leave. However, before she leaves, she had something that she wanted to leave for him. Ning Fan walked to the stone chamber step by step with a heavy heart. Luo Yu was the woman who had accompanied him for the longest time. She had always stayed in the profound Yin world and accompanied him through all kinds of difficulties and obstacles. Since Luo Yu had been resurrected, it was time for her to leave. He was reluctant to part with her, but there was nothing he could do. He knew that his cultivation base was too weak. He could not help her or make her stay here. Moreover, what he had promised her in the past was to help her resurrect and let her go. "Are you going to leave?" Ning Fan looked at Luo Yu and said with a bitter smile. Since there is a passageway that leads to the eastern heaven here, I will go to the eastern heaven first. After that, I will go to the other worlds to search for opportunities and improve my strength." "Where will you go?" "I don't know. I'll go wherever the opportunities are. Don't worry. I'm just at the abandoning void realm now. It's far from enough for me to take revenge. I won't joke around with my life. Come here. I have something to tell you." Ning Fan did not think about her anymore. He sat on the ice bed and leaned against Luo Yu. Just as he sat down, a pair of cold and soft lips moved closer to him. "We're going to part ways soon. I'll give you something to remember. Isn't your steel of sun and moon still lacking the second Yin spirit? Take mine." Ning Fan's eyes turned gentle. He did not push the cold person in his arms away. Instead, he turned around and pressed her down on the ice bed. His hands caressed her cold and soft waist through her thin shirt. Then, he slid into her shirt and wandered around freely. All of a sudden, Ning Fan's eyes became clear. He frowned and asked, "What happened to the injury on your back?" "It's a very serious injury. Even though I borrowed someone else's body to reincarnate, the injury is still there. Don't ask. Don't ask anything. Ning Fan, don't ask. Just treat this as a dream that you won't wake up from." She no longer called him silly brother but Ning Fan. At this moment, in Luo Yu's eyes, Ning Fan was the man she loved and nothing else. She felt a stinging pain. Red plum blossoms stained the ice bed. Luo Yu's eyelashes were filled with tears. She was not a weak person. However, at this moment, she had forgotten all the hatred and burdens she had to bear. She was willing to be weak for once. "This is just a dream," faint moans and moans reverberated in the stone gate. It was a very, very beautiful dream. After countless times, Ning Fan's body suddenly went numb and his consciousness became more and more blurry. He smiled bitterly. He was actually hit by Luo Yu's improved version of the yin plucking finger. Although Luo Yu did not have the yin-yang locket, she was also a cultivator of the yin-yang transformation. Naturally, she knew some of the secret techniques that Ning Fan knew. It was Ning Fan's first time tasting the yin plucking finger. He knew that Luo Yu was reluctant to leave him when he was awake. That was why she wanted to knock him out and leave him without saying goodbye. "Little Yu heir." Ning Fan's drowsy eyes looked at Luo Yu, who was wearing her clothes and looking at him reluctantly. He reached out his hand as if he wanted to grab something. However, he could not grab anything in the end. "Ning Fan, I hope that we will meet again in this life." In his hazy state, Ning Fan saw the back of a lady in white robes walking towards the teleportation formation resolutely, and a teardrop that fell on the floor. Then, she fell into a deep sleep. His cultivation base was at the 6th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, while Luo Yu was at the void renunciation realm. Luo Yu knew the secret technique of dual cultivation. Since she took the initiative to dual cultivate with Ning Fan naturally did not face any risks. She gave her Yuan Hong to Ning Fan, allowing his magic power to increase by 1 million Yuan Hui in just one night. In his dream, Ning Fan's magic power had reached 5.3 million Yuan Hui. His yin-yang transformation cultivation method had reached the 3rd level, the 7th level. The second yin spirit of the steel of sun and moon was completed. Ning Fan did not have the mood to look at it. After waking up, he took the opportunity to break through to the 7th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm and casually broke the heavenly tribulation. His magic power had increased to 5 million Yuan Hui. However, Ning Fan did not feel happy at all. His heart was empty. Looking at the red plum blossoms on the ice bed, he remained silent. Did I finally wake up from the dream? Shame, shame, shame. Little Fan Fan can't bear to part with the beauty. Shame, shame, shame. The beauty can't bear to part with little Fan Fan either. Shame, shame, shame. Little Fan Fan's butt is still naked until now. Shame, shame, shame. Actually, Tong Tong also wants to spend some time with little Fan Fan. Unfortunately, she's too young. I don't want to. The little stutterer explained with a flushed face. Ning Fan looked at the sword pouch that was tossed aside and felt speechless. While he was feeling sad here, the 5 little creatures were stirring up trouble here. However, thanks to the 5 of them, Ning Fan's mood became much better. Be quiet. You guys are too noisy. Humph. The beauty is shouting so loudly and you don't even find it noisy. But when we whisper a few words, you find it noisy. You value your lover more than your friends. The few little creatures protested. Ning Fan was too lazy to argue with them. Only then did he have the mood to look at the changes in the profound yin world. When he did so, his eyes could not help but widen in surprise. The time he could stay in the profound yin world had increased to 1 year. As for the destructive power of the steel of sun and moon, it was already comparable to the attack of a life immortal realm expert. After putting on his clothes, Ning Fan took out the crystal containing the power of the purple sun from his storage pouch. His eyes flashed. If he devoured the 3rd sun, the profound yin world would continue to level up, and the power of the steel of sun and moon would also continue to increase. At this moment, the power of the steel of sun and moon was enough to instantly kill a loose immortal. If it continued to improve, even an early-stage human profound realm life immortal would not be able to withstand an attack from the steel of sun and moon. When the purple sun energy was completely devoured, he could stay in the profound Yin world for 3 years. As for the power of the steel of sun and moon, Ning Fan gave it a try. Using the tablet technique once would consume all of his magic power, but it was enough to severely injure an early human profound life immortal realm expert. If Luo Yu hadn't given him the second Yin spirit, he wouldn't have been able to devour the third Yang spirit. Luo Yu was worried about him, so she helped him increase the might of the steel of sun and moon to increase his ability to protect himself. Ning Fan fell into silence again. 3 months later, Ning Fan completely stabilized his 7th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivation base. Only then did he step into the teleportation formation that would take him to the Eastern Heaven immortal world. Unexpectedly, there was a small change in the teleportation formation during the teleportation. Every time the teleportation array was activated, it would take several years before it could be activated again. Neither Ning Fan nor Luo Yu knew about this. After Luo Yu left first, Ning Fan did not have to wait for several years. He immediately started the teleportation array. However, there was a slight deviation in the teleportation location. Ning Fan was accidentally teleported into a sea of light filled with layers of realm-breaking light. The realm-breaking light sea. Even a rogue immortal would die if he or she falls into it. Ning Fan, while feeling speechless, he forcefully rushed through the realm-breaking light sea by relying on the protection of 8,800 black stars. However, the moment he passed through the sea of light, he was already severely injured and on the verge of death. All he could see was a vast galaxy. Then, his vision blurred and he fell headfirst onto a black cultivation planet. This planet was called the Chaotic Devil Star. This star region was called the Chaotic Devil Star Sea. There were more than 7,000 cultivation countries on the Chaotic Devil Star. In a small devil sect in a low-grade cultivation country, a few gold core realm devil cultivators were kneeling in front of a devil statue. Sigh. My Chinchou sect can't gather enough human cauldrons for our country. Our demise is imminent. I beg the old ancestor to show his spirit and grant us a way to survive. The few gold core realm old men were kowtowing in front of the devil statue. There were also tens of harmonious spirit realm cultivators behind them. All of a sudden, a ray of extraterrestrial devil light descended from the sky and landed on the ancestral temple of the Chinchou sect. A hole was formed in the main hall. The statue of the old ancestor was smashed into pieces. A white-robed young man who was bathed in blood and had monstrous devil chi appeared in the main hall. His body was glowing with strange black starlight. He stared at the crowd coldly. The old ancestor has shown his spirit. A group of devil cultivators of the Chinchou sect looked at the white-robed young man in disbelief. Could it be that this white-robed young man is their old ancestor Chinchou? Has he shown his spirit? Could it be that he has really shown his spirit? Greetings, old ancestor. Countless cries of joy immediately resounded in the main hall. Ning Fan's muscles and bones were all broken. At this moment, he could only hold his breath. He could not even exert his gold core realm cultivation base. He looked at the crowd coldly. Even though he did not know why they addressed him as old ancestor, he ordered, "Prepare a stone chamber. I'm going into seclusion immediately." Chapter 700. Even though Ning Fan's injuries were severe, his aura made everyone in the 1,000 Years sect feel fear from the bottom of their hearts. The few elders of the 1,000 Years sect had long regarded Ning Fan as the old ancestor's spirit manifestation. Seeing that the old ancestor had given his order, how would they dare to disobey? The few of them immediately ordered to prepare a stone chamber for Ning Fan to enter seclusion. No one was allowed to disturb him. Outside the stone keep, countless spiritual wine and spiritual fire were offered. Incense was burned and prayers were offered, thanking the elder ancestor for appearing and saving the 1,000 Year sect from its predicament. At this moment, Ning Fan was busy recuperating. Naturally, he could not be bothered with the matters of the Qianqiu sect. Even an ordinary life immortal wouldn't dare to cross the realm breaker ocean by force. By relying on the star technique to protect his body, Ning Fan managed to do it. However, the injuries he suffered were too severe. According to his estimation, even if he used the star technique to heal himself, he would need at least a few hundred years to fully recover. It was obvious how serious the injury was. If he has the healing speed of the profound Yin world that was 100 times faster than normal, his injuries would only take a few years at most to fully recover. As soon as he entered the stone chamber, Ning Fan immediately went into the profound Yin world and recuperated in there for 3 years. 3 years had passed and Ning Fan's injuries had mostly healed. His cultivation base had also recovered to the late nascent soul realm. If he went into seclusion for another 3 years, he would be able to completely recover his cultivation. When the first 3 years of seclusion ended and Ning Fan returned to the stone chamber, he heard some sighs coming from outside the chamber. After listening to the discussion of the cultivators outside the stone fortress, Ning Fan roughly understood some things about the Thousand-Year sect. The Thousand-Year sect's fiendish cultivators had originally thought that the Patriarch would appear and help the Thousand-Year sect escape this calamity. Who would have thought that as soon as the old ancestor manifested, he would run to the stone chamber to enter seclusion? This seclusion lasted for 3 years. This made the elders of the Thousand-Year sect suffer. The Thousand-Year sect was an inconspicuous little demonic sect on the Chaos Devil planet. It was under the control of the 100 Ghost sect, a mid-grade cultivation country. It was said that the Chaos Demon Star Lord had fought with other Star Lords and was severely injured, requiring countless cauldrons to heal him. Therefore, the entire cultivation planet and the 7,000 cultivation countries were searching for cauldrons above the harmonious spirit realm for the Star Lord to heal his injuries. Those female devil sects only needed to hand over some harmonious spirit disciples and the task would be completed. However, the Thousand-Year sect was not so lucky. There was not a single harmonious spirit evil woman in the entire sect. Since the sect couldn't provide human cauldrons, they could only go outside to catch them. Unfortunately, the entire Chaos Devil Star was busy catching human cauldrons. Any harmonious spirit female cultivator who was walking on the streets could be caught by someone. The Thousand-Year sect had been capturing them for several months, but they only managed to capture 7 or 8 harmonious spirit female cultivators. Moreover, all of these female cultivators had already lost their primordial Yin. The higher-ups wanted the Qianqiu sect to hand over 50 perfect cauldrons. Sadly, the Qianqiu sect could not hand them over at all. If they couldn't hand it over, they could only buy cauldrons. Unfortunately, the entire cultivation planet was buying cauldrons. The price of a spirit-harmonizing cauldron was more expensive than a gold core Dao fruit. The Thousand-Year sect couldn't afford a few spirit-harmonizing cauldrons at all. The higher-ups repeatedly extended the time limit, but the Thousand-Year sect still could not hand it over. Ning Fan had been in seclusion for 3 years and his superiors had already urged him 7 to 8 times. This time, the higher-ups came again and said that if the Qianqiu sect still couldn't hand over the cauldron, they would annihilate the entire sect. Patriarch, oh, Patriarch, please save our Thousand-Year sect. More than 10 vein opening realm devil cultivators were crying and begging outside the stone chamber. Inside the chamber, however, Ning Fan's face was cold and indifferent. He was not moved at all. He was neither a relative nor a friend of the Thousand-Year sect. Why would he help them? Now that he had just ascended to the eastern heaven, he had yet to figure out where he was and his injuries had yet to fully recover. Thus, Ning Fan did not want to get himself into unnecessary trouble. No matter how these people cried and screamed, Ning Fan just treated them with indifference and remained unmoved. Don't think that the Thousand-Year sect was pitiful. From their way of doing things, one could tell that this was a devil sect that committed all sorts of crimes. If they were to be annihilated, then so be it. It had nothing to do with Ning Fan. I can only enter the profound Yin world again after 3 more days. This time, I can stay for 3 years. Since the completion of the second Yin spirit, my minor 5 elemental physique has already broken through to the major 5 elemental physique. However, the 5 elements need to be perfected once again. After breaking through to the major 5 elemental physique, my physical body took the opportunity to break through to the second heavenly layer of the revered devil realm. Besides, after the completion of the second Yin spirit, I have also obtained a brand new Yin-Yang secret technique. The seed of incense flame. As long as I plant the seed of incense flame in the human cauldrons that I subdue, even if the human cauldrons don't kowtow to my statue and offer incense to me, I can still slowly collect the power of incense. This seed of incense flame is harmless to them, but it is beneficial to me. These few days, I can enter the cauldron world and plant the seed of incense flame in my 100,000 human cauldrons. Ning Fan's body swayed and he entered the cauldron world. One day later, he finished planting the seeds and continued his seclusion in the stone chamber. In the outside world, the 1,000-year sect was facing a calamity of life and death. A few elders of the 1,000-year sect were kneeling in the main hall. 7 nascent soul realm old monsters were sitting on the seats of honor. These 7 nascent soul realm experts were devil cultivators from a mid-grade cultivation country. The one with the highest cultivation base among them was a half-step divine transformation realm cultivator. It was a man with a feminine appearance. He was wearing a bright red robe. He was holding a teacup and took a sip from it. Then, he said to the elders of the 1,000-year sect in a strange tone. It has been 3 years and you still haven't gathered 50 melting spirit cauldrons. Hee. How dare you? This person's voice was extremely soft. It was neither a man nor a woman. How could the elders of the 1,000-year sect have the guts to laugh at this old monster? This human demon old monster was the sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect. Moreover, he was also the disciple of a void glimpse stage old monster. Even some divine transformation realm old monsters from high-grade cultivation countries would have to be polite when they meet the sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect. Please calm down, my lord. It's not that we don't want to do our best. It's just that it's really difficult to find melting spirit cauldrons at this critical moment. A late gold core realm elder explained. I don't like those meaningless explanations. I only look at the results. In the past 3 years, I've sent people to ask for human cauldrons 8 times. You refused 8 times. Today is the 9th time and also the last time. I've come personally. If you still don't hand over the cauldrons, I don't mind annihilating your 1,000-year sect. The cold words of the sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect made all the cultivators of the 1,000-year sect break out in cold sweat. The few elders exchanged glances with each other in despair. All of them were well aware that they absolutely could not hand over the cauldrons. However, they were not willing to bow down and die just like that. Their old ancestor had appeared and was now in seclusion in the 1,000-year mountain. The late gold core realm old monster Qian Qiu gritted his teeth and mustered his courage to say. My old ancestor is currently in seclusion in the 1,000-year mountain. He will never allow anyone to annihilate the 1,000-year sect. What? Old ancestor Qian Qiu. Upon hearing this name, even an arrogant person like the sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect was shocked. The 1,000-year sect was a devil sect that was established 4,000 years ago. The first sect master was old ancestor Qian Qiu. Old ancestor Qian Qiu was a ruthless person. Although he was at the late divine transformation realm, no devil cultivator below the void refinement realm on the entire chaotic devil star was a match for him. It was said that the star lord of another devil star took a fancy to this person and wanted to take him as his disciple. However, he was rejected. Even the sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect had heard of such a powerful person. Therefore, when he first heard that old ancestor Qian Qiu was in the sect, his first reaction was fear. However, on second thought, didn't old ancestor Qian Qiu die in a great battle 4,000 years ago? If old ancestor Qian Qiu was still alive, would he tolerate his sect being bullied by others? I'm not in the mood to joke with you. According to what I know, old ancestor Qian Qiu died 4,000 years ago. The sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect snorted coldly. The late Gold Core Realm Elder immediately felt a sharp pain in his chest and coughed out a mouthful of blood. However, his expression was still arrogant. Although the old ancestor has died, we have been worshipping the devil statue every day and have already summoned the old ancestor's spiritual body back. The old ancestor had already manifested 3 years ago and is now in seclusion in the back mountain. I, old ancestor Qian Qiu, will never allow you to annihilate the 1,000-year sect. Ha, ha. The sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect suddenly burst into laughter. What did he hear just now? There was actually such a ridiculous thing in this world. This bunch of idiots from the 1,000-year sect actually managed to make the old ancestor manifest after worshipping the devil statue. This was too ridiculous. Manifest? He, old ancestor Qian Qiu, was not an immortal emperor. How could he make use of the golden temple to manifest? Only a few immortal emperors knew a thing or two about the great divine power of manifesting and descending upon the world. Judging from the confident tone of the 1,000-year sect members, it seemed like there was really someone impersonating old ancestor Qian Qiu and was in seclusion at the 1,000-year mountain. However, there was no need to ask to know that the person could only be an impersonator. Old ancestor Qian Qiu was already dead. This was an indisputable fact. Manifesting and whatnot were all nonsense. As for the impersonator, he had hidden at the 1,000-year mountain for 3 years and did not dare to stand up for the 1,000-year sect. He was most likely a liar who had not even formed his nascent soul. Interesting, interesting. You, lead the way. I'll go to the stone gate of the 1,000-year mountain right now and meet your old ancestor. I'm going to annihilate the 1,000-year sect anyway, so let's start with your old ancestor. The sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect sneered and led the other 6 nascent soul realm cultivators to the stone gate at the back of the mountain under the lead of a few elders. After being ridiculed by the sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect, the elders of the 1,000 Years sect lost their confidence. The reason why they were certain that Ning Fan was the manifestation of their old ancestor was because the incident that day was too shocking. A ray of devil light descended from the sky and turned into Ning Fan, who was covered in devil chi. All of this was too coincidental. At that moment, Ning Fan's aura was unparalleled and it was not any weaker than the legendary old ancestor Qian Qiu. That was why they firmly believed that the senior from the devil Tao who descended from the sky was the manifestation of their old ancestor. Now that the sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect said it, they began to doubt whether their old ancestor was real or not. If he was real, why did he not pay any attention to the 1,000-year sect after entering the stone gate for 3 years? Legend had it that old ancestor Qian Qiu was a devil lord who killed without batting an eyelid. He was never bullied by anyone. He was the only one who bullied others. Hiss, the few old men sucked in a cold breath at the same time. It can't be. Could it be that the old ancestor in the stone gate was really a fake? At this moment, the few elders were not the only ones who had doubts. The harmonious spirit realm and vein opening realm disciples also had doubts. Today, the sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect had threatened to annihilate the 1,000-year sect, but the old ancestor still didn't come out to protect the sect. Could it be that he was not the real old ancestor? Soon, they arrived at the back of the mountain. The sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect and the other 6 nascent soul realm cultivators stood proudly outside the stone gate, staring at it coldly. Especially the sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect. His arrogant eyes were filled with mockery. He wanted to kill their old ancestor in front of the people of the 1,000-year sect and laugh at their foolishness. Then, he would slaughter the entire sect. You have been hiding in the stone gate for 3 years. Are you still not going to show yourself? Quickly come out and accept your death. The sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect shouted coldly. However, no sound came from the stone gate. Each of the disciples of the thousand-year sect immediately showed an embarrassed and resentful expression. The sect master's words were a blatant provocation. If the person in the stone gate was really their old ancestor, he would have come out and killed all the intruders regardless of their background. Unfortunately, there was no movement inside the stone gate. It's not the old ancestor. It really isn't. Looking at the embarrassed expressions of the disciples of the thousand-year sect, the sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect laughed mockingly and continued speaking to the stone gate. It seems like you are not the real thousand-year sect master. I'll give you 3 breaths to get out of the stone gate. Don't force me to break the stone gate. 1 breath. 2 breaths. 3 breaths. With every breath that the sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect took, the despair in the hearts of the people of the thousand-year sect grew. After 3 breaths, the sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect made a grabbing motion with his 5 fingers. A black ball of light appeared in his palm. With a light toss, the ball of light immediately hit the stone gate of the thousand-year mountain at an astonishing speed. With a loud boom, the entire thousand-year mountain collapsed and the stone gate shattered. The disciples of the thousand-year sect immediately turned pale. Was this the power of the sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect? This power was not much weaker than a soul formation old monster. The sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect closed his eyes and said indifferently, "You're the one who didn't come out of seclusion. Don't blame me for being ruthless. Now that you've been destroyed along with this mountain, you won't have the chance to come out of seclusion anymore." In his opinion, he had destroyed the thousand-year mountain with a single strike. The old ancestor of the Shi-Bei sect who had not even formed his nascent soul would definitely die in this round of attack. Next, it's time to annihilate the thousand-year sect. Just as he was thinking about this, his eyes suddenly widened and he looked at the ruins of the thousand-year mountain in disbelief. The other 6 nascent soul realm cultivators also wore shocked expressions. Amidst the smoke and dust, a white-robed young man walked out from the ruins with a cold expression. The cultivation base that he revealed was at the late nascent soul realm. However, there was an aura force on his body that made the nascent soul realm of the sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect tremble uncontrollably. Old ancestor. It's the old ancestor. The old ancestor is not dead. He must be the real old ancestor. The disciples of the thousand-year sect immediately shouted. All of their shouts entered Ning Fan's ears, but it did not cause any ripples in his heart. He stared coldly at the sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect. He really did not care whether this person could annihilate the thousand-year sect or not. However, this person actually dared to attack his place of seclusion. He was really courting death. Calm down. This person must be carrying some kind of secret treasure that can increase his aura force. That's why he has such a terrifying aura force. His cultivation base is only at the late nascent soul realm. It's not worth mentioning at all. The sect master tried his best to calm his mind. However, he did not have the right to do so in front of Ning Fan. Just as his voice fell, he suddenly saw Ning Fan's eyes flashing with cold light. My current cultivation base is indeed not worth mentioning. However, killing all of you is not as difficult as pinching an ant to death. Ning Fan raised his hand and made a suction force. A vast suction force immediately drew the sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect to him. Facing that suction force, he who was a dignified half-step divine transformation realm cultivator could not resist it at all. Ning Fan grabbed his neck and lifted him up high. His eyes were still cold. Meeting Ning Fan's merciless eyes, the sect master felt a chill from the bottom of his heart. He wanted to break free from Ning Fan's evil grasp, but he could not do so at all. His heart was filled with fear. You're not at the nascent soul realm. You're definitely not a nascent soul realm cultivator. It's impossible for a nascent soul realm cultivator to take me down so easily. Did I say that I'm a nascent soul realm cultivator? Die. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He clenched his fist and broke the sect master's neck. His hand was full of blood. The sect master's nascent soul tried to escape from his corpse but was caught by Ning Fan's palm again. Why you can't kill me? My master is one of the 17 devil guards under the Star Lord. You can't. Ning Fan was not interested in this person's background at all. Without saying anything, he directly searched his soul and memories. In just a moment, he obtained a large amount of information from the sect master's memory. Then, he swallowed his nascent soul mercilessly. When the other 6 nascent soul realm cultivators saw how terrifying Ning Fan's strength was, killing a half-step divine transformation realm cultivator was as easy as pinching an ant, they fled in terror. Sword light flashed in Ning Fan's eyes. His black sword sense swept across the sky and reaped the lives of the 6 cultivators with ease. Don't you think it's too late to leave? The entire 1,000 years sect fell into dead silence. Ning Fan's strength made them feel awe and fear. Old Ancestor is mighty. With a loud bang, all the cultivators of the 1,000 years sect knelt down and kowtowed to Ning Fan. Ning Fan did not pay attention to them. Whether they live or die had nothing to do with him. I want to continue my seclusion here. All of you, retreat. As he raised his hand, the rubble of the 1,000 years mountain that had collapsed suddenly turned into a mountain again. Without saying anything, Ning Fan flew into the stone chamber. A few days later, he entered the profound Yin world again to heal his injuries. In the chaotic devil country, an old man with void glimpse stage cultivation base looked at the life token in his hand that had been broken into 2 halves. He was enraged. Who can tell me? Why did my disciple die in a mere low-grade cultivation country? Investigate. Chapter 701. On the chaotic devil star, a shocking piece of news quickly spread across the 7,000 cultivation countries. The treasured disciple of the Drifting Mountain Patriarch, the sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect, had actually been killed. And the person who killed his disciple was a cultivator from a low-ranked cultivation country. However, many of the old monsters had heard of this cultivator's name. Forefather Qinqiu. 4,000 years ago, old ancestor Qianqiu became the strongest being below the void refinement realm on the chaotic devil star with his late divine transformation realm cultivation base. 4,000 years later, old ancestor Qianqiu was still alive. It was very likely that he had already broken through to the void refinement realm. After 4,000 years, forefather Qinqiu must have become even more powerful. Even so, no one thought that forefather Thousand Autumns could afford to offend forefather Dangyu. Even though old ancestor Dangyu's cultivation base was only at the void glimpse stage, he was a 6th revolution pill refinement master. He was highly regarded by the chaotic devil Star Lord and was one of the 17 devil guards of the Star Lord. When old ancestor Dangyu brought the other 16 void refinement realm and void fragmentation realm devil guards to a low-grade cultivation country and surrounded the 1,000 years sect, the entire planet shook. Meanwhile, all the cultivators of the 1,000 year sect knelt down in fear. All 17 demon guards are mobilized. Not good, old ancestor has caused trouble. What should we do? No matter how powerful the old ancestor is, he's no match for the 17 demon guards. That's right. Among the 17 devil guards, there are 3 void fragmentation realm experts. The rest of them are experts who are strong enough to wipe out 7,000 cultivation countries. Old ancestor is definitely not a match for these devil guards. Moreover, the backer behind these devil guards is the dignified Star Lord of the chaotic devil star. That's an existence that we can't afford to offend. The elders of the 1,000 year sect all looked defeated. The newcomer was too powerful, so powerful that they couldn't muster any will to resist. One should know that the chaotic devil star region had a total of 7 great devil stars and 7 great star lords. Each of them was an expert at the 6th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm or above. Star Lord Chaos Devil was a 6th Shatterer. In the entire chaotic devil star, there were only a dozen or so void fragmentation realm experts in the 7,000 cultivation countries. The Chaos Demon Star Lord alone could sweep across the entire Chaos Demon Star. Today, in order to avenge his disciple, Old Ancestor Che Yu had invited 3 void fragmentation realm experts to annihilate the Qianqiu sect. No one thought that the Qianqiu sect would be able to avoid this calamity. 1,000-year sect, what a 1,000-year sect! Patriarch Drifting Mountain stood in the sky, and 16 peerless experts stood behind him. He looked coldly at the kneeling members of the 1,000 Years sect and suddenly had an idea. I heard that Qianqiu is still in seclusion. Yes. Elder Qianqiu's faces were ashen as they answered every question. He, do you want to live? Patriarch Sweeping Peak sneered. Yes, all the members of the 1,000 Autumns sect shouted. Ha! I'll give all of you a chance. So long as all of you swear a Dao Heart Oath to draw a clear line between you and that kid, Qianqiu, and betray him to submit to me, then I'll spare all of your lives. How about it? Really? All the cultivators of the 1,000-year sect were filled with excitement. They admired Forefather 1,000 Autumns only because they wanted to rely on him to survive. Now that they knew that their patriarch was no match for Patriarch Sweeping Mountain, how could they be loyal to their patriarch? If they could live by betraying the old ancestor, why would they hesitate to betray him? I'm willing to swear a great Dao Heart Oath that from this day onwards, I'll no longer have anything to do with Patriarch Qianqiu. No, Daoist Qianqiu. I'll only be loyal to Senior Dang Yu. I'm willing to swear a great Dao Heart Oath. From today onwards, I'll no longer have anything to do with Daoist Qianqiu and the 1,000 Autumns sect. Looking at the cultivators of the 1,000 Autumns sect who swore a great Dao Heart Oath in order to survive, the corners of Old Ancestor Sweeping Peak's mouth curled into a mocking smile. He had never thought of letting these people go. He just wanted to see how many of them were loyal to Ning Fan. He. None of them. How ironic. In order to protect the sect, that kid, Qianqiu, killed my disciple and offended me. His disciple, on the other hand, directly betrayed him in order to survive. If he finds out about this, he'll probably be in great pain. Die. Old Ancestor Sweeping Peak casually struck out a ray of sword light. That sword light immediately turned into a rain of swords, turning the entire 1,000 Autumns sect into ruins. None of the cultivators of the 1,000 Autumns sect survived. Their bodies could only be described as minced meat. Only their heads still maintained an expression of shock and fear. Do you think you can survive by betraying me? How ridiculous, Old Ancestor Sweeping Peak sneered. With a flick of his sleeve, thousands of heads piled up to form a human skull tower. He wanted to use this human skull tower to pay tribute to his disciple. However, this tower was still missing a human skull. Ning Fan's head. Old Ancestor Sweeping Peak's figure flashed and landed outside the stone chamber of the 1,000 Autumns Mountain with the 16 experts behind him. He looked at the simple and crude stone chamber and saw through the scenery inside with a single glance. His brows were tightly knitted together. That kid, Qianqiu, isn't inside the stone chamber. Damn it. Did he run away? Perhaps this person has gone into seclusion inside the heavenly dwelling. It said that he has injuries on his body. Most likely, he is healing his injuries inside the heavenly dwelling. A first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm old man guessed. Hiding inside the heavenly dwelling, huh? Elder Chu, tear this heavenly dwelling apart. Old Ancestor Sweeping Peak said to the second heavenly layer void fragmentation realm old man beside him. This is easy, to break. The void fragmentation realm old man with the surname Chu pointed a finger at the 1,000 Autumns Mountain. All of a sudden, the entire 1,000 Autumns Mountain turned into ashes. He clawed at the empty space in front of him, trying to tear open the heavenly dwelling that Ning Fan was in. Tearing open the heavenly dwelling with a palm was an ability that every void fragmentation realm old monster had. Hiding inside the heavenly dwelling when facing the pursuit of a void fragmentation realm expert was no different from courting death. The scene of tearing open the heavenly dwelling as expected did not happen. There was no hidden heavenly dwelling in this place. Impossible. I can even tear open the spatial barrier of a high-grade heavenly dwelling. Could it be that that kid, Qianxiu, didn't hide inside the heavenly dwelling but escaped in advance? The old man with the surname Chu said in disbelief. No. Qianxiu must still be here. Even though I have yet to tear open the heavenly dwelling, I can sense a trace of undetectable world power in this place. I'm afraid that kid is not hiding inside the heavenly dwelling but inside a world treasure. A small kiliacosm world treasure. Everyone including old ancestor Sweeping Peak revealed a look of greed. A small kiliacosm world treasure was a good item. Even when facing the pursuit of an ordinary life immortal realm expert, one would be able to survive by hiding inside a small kiliacosm world. Of course, there were also many life immortal realm experts who could break open a small kiliacosm. If that kid, Qianxiu, really hides inside a small kiliacosm world, it will be a little tricky. Unless he leaves the small kiliacosm himself, it's absolutely impossible to capture him. However, if it's for the small kiliacosm world, what's the harm in waiting for him here for 100 years? I don't believe that he won't leave this small kiliacosm for the rest of his life. Everyone sneered at the same time. Originally, Sweeping Peak came here just to kill Ning Fan and take revenge. But now, even if it's just for that small kiliacosm world treasure, he still wanted to kill Ning Fan and seize the treasure. Old ancestor Sweeping Peak and the others sent a message transmitting flying sword to the Star Lord, informing him about the discovery of the small kiliacosm world treasure. The Star Lord immediately gave an order, leaving old ancestor Sweeping Peak and the other 6 devil guards to stay here and wait for Ning Fan to show up so that they could kill him and seize the treasure. The remaining devil guards then returned to the chaotic devil country to report to the Star Lord and continue to search for human cauldrons to help the Star Lord heal his injuries. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, in the profound Yin world, Ning Fan stood with his hands clasped behind his back. He was bathing in the bright sunlight without saying a word. The steel of sun and moon had been upgraded again and again. The profound Yin world had also been upgraded again and again. This world was no longer barren and desolate. Instead, it was more like a paradise. The thatched cottage was still there. Unfortunately, the woman who lived inside had already left. Ning Fan's injuries had completely healed. Today, he was still the extremely powerful strongest devil in the 9 worlds. He had already learned about the overall strength of the chaotic devil star from the memories of the sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect. The chaotic devil star was very weak. It was not worth mentioning. Because of this, Ning Fan could sense the strength of the Eastern Heaven Immortal World. The Eastern Heaven Immortal World had countless star regions and cultivation planets. Cultivation planets were divided into 4 grades. A cultivation planet like the chaotic devil star was the lowest grade cultivation planet, a low-grade cultivation planet. In a low-grade cultivation planet, the Star Lord would at most be a rogue immortal or at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. A mid-grade cultivation planet would be guarded by a life immortal. A high-grade cultivation planet would even be guarded by a true immortal. The highest-grade cultivation planet was called an immortal mansion planet. Usually, there would be immortal venerables or immortal kings guarding it. There might even be immortal emperors. To the 4 heavens, the lower worlds were indeed not worth mentioning. This chaotic devil Star Lord had a cultivation base of the 6th destruction realm. If he was in the lower worlds, he would be able to make a name for himself. However, in the upper worlds, he was not worth mentioning at all. The Eastern Heaven was very chaotic. The heavenly law of the 4 Phoenixes sect was useless here. Ning Fan also had the identity of an 8th grade immortal guard. This identity was only useful in the 4 Phoenixes sect. Unfortunately, it was useless in the Eastern Heaven. If a low-grade cultivation planet was destroyed, almost no one would care about it. Of course, if there was someone behind the destroyed low-grade cultivation planet, it would be a different story. My strength can allow me to move unhindered in the 9 worlds. However, in the 4 heavens, I'm only qualified to be the Star Lord of a low-grade cultivation planet. No wonder the 4 Phoenixes sect neglected the change of the divine sovereigns in the lower worlds. Who would spend the effort to manage such a weak lower world? In the eyes of the cultivators in the upper worlds, the 9 worlds is probably not much nobler than 9 low-grade cultivation planets. There are 3 reasons why I came to the Eastern Heaven Immortal World. Firstly, to find the immortal soul grass and let Whaleyang's soul grow. Secondly, to fulfill Senior Tai Su's last wish. To help my master collect his debt. Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out a yellowed promissory note. Then, he sighed helplessly. Even though the old devil was a little calculative when he asked him to collect his debt, 1 billion Tao crystals was not a small amount. If he has this amount of money, it would be much easier for him to break through his cultivation realm. Perhaps, he could use the Tao crystals to buy a large amount of pills for his cultivation or directly devour a large amount of Tao crystals to break through his cultivation realm. He had already left all the things that he should leave behind in the lower worlds. Now that he has arrived in the upper worlds, he did not need to worry about money anymore. If he runs out of money, he could just rob them again. My injuries have already healed. It's almost time for me to leave the chaotic Devil Star and head to the Immortal Soul Star to look for the Immortal Soul Grass. However, I wonder which star region is the Immortal Soul Star. Immortal Emperor Meng Xuanzi had once given Ning Fan an astrolabe which recorded the location of the Black Tortoise Star in the northern heavens. The stars would move according to their trajectories. Therefore, there was no fixed map that could accurately depict the location of each star region and cultivation planet. The map of the 4 heavens was called an astrolabe. It could be used as a flying treasure. Of course, its main purpose was to be used as a map. Every star region had a specific astrolabe. Only by following the direction of the astrolabe could one find the star region and cultivation planet that one wanted to reach. In order to head to the Immortal Soul Star, one must first know which star region the Immortal Soul Star was located in and then purchase the astrolabe of that star region. Flying in a star palace was always very troublesome. Low-grade cultivation planets did not have astrolabes for sale. To create an astrolabe, one would need to borrow a trace of immortal power to deduce the position of the stars and condense the power of the starry sky into the astrolabe. Therefore, only powerful cultivators who were at the life immortal realm and above could create astrolabes. Normally, astrolabes were only sold on mid-grade cultivation planets. In order to head to the Immortal Soul Star, I first need to find a mid-grade cultivation planet. Then, I will gather information there and purchase an astrolabe. The starry sky is boundless. If I just fly aimlessly, I don't know how long it will take for me to find a mid-grade cultivation planet. Ning Fan sighed softly. With a sway of his body, he left the profound Yin world. The moment he appeared in the outside world, 7 rays of killing intent immediately locked onto him. Moreover, a cold sneer entered Ning Fan's ears. Little Chinchou, you're finally willing to show yourself. The sect master of the 100 Ghosts sect is my disciple. The Chinchou sect has already been massacred by me. Under the order of the Star Lord, we will guard you here. Quickly hand over the small Kiliacosm Cosmos treasure and I will leave your corpse intact. Ning Fan's eyes suddenly turned cold. At this moment, he was standing on the ruins of the Chinchou mountain. Surrounding him were 7 devil cultivators with monstrous devil chi. 5 of them were at the void refinement realm while the other 2 were at the void fragmentation realm. The entire Chinchou sect had already been flattened. A tower of human skulls was built on top of the ruins. 3 years had passed and the human skulls had already rotted away. Ning Fan looked at the human skulls. His heart was still calm. He was a heartless person in the first place. The Qianqiu sect had nothing to do with him. Oh. Little Qianqiu, I didn't expect you to be so indifferent after seeing the tower of human skulls of your disciples. You are indeed as cold-blooded and heartless as the rumors say. Actually, you really don't need to feel sad for them. They are just a group of rebels. In order to survive, they have already betrayed you. Old ancestor Dang Yu's words were just to disturb Ning Fan's state of mind. He secretly made a hand seal and the ground trembled slightly. Then, 5 gigantic earth dragons drilled out from under Ning Fan's feet and bit his head from 5 different directions. Die. Ning Fan's expression remained cold from the beginning to the end. Whether the cultivators of the Qianqiu sect had betrayed him or why they died, he really did not care at all. Old ancestor Dang Yu's method of disturbing his state of mind was really clumsy. As for sneak attacks, they were equally clumsy. These 5 earth dragons were strong enough to kill ordinary Void Glimpse stage experts. However, they were not worth mentioning to Ning Fan at all. With a wave of his sleeve, the 5 earth dragons were directly turned into ashes by Ning Fan's wind. At the moment he made his move, Ning Fan's 7th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm aura force gushed out without any reservation. All of a sudden, the 7 devil guards including old ancestor Dang Yu wore an extremely terrified expression. Even the 2 void fragmentation realm experts who were guarding this place were filled with fear. They were just at the 1st and 2nd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. In front of Ning Fan who was at the 7th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, they could not resist at all. 7th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. This old ancestor Qianqiu sect actually had a higher cultivation base than the Star Lord. Run! Without any hesitation, the 7 of them fled in different directions. Ning Fan flicked his finger and a gigantic illusory vortex appeared in front of the 7 of them, directly sucking them into it. In just an instant, all 6 of them were turned into pools of blood by the vortex. With a flick of his sleeve, the storage pouches of the 7 of them fell into Ning Fan's palm. Old ancestor Dang Yu's primordial spirit also fell into Ning Fan's palm. Ning Fan mercilessly searched his soul and memory before killing him. After collecting the Tao crystals of the 7 of them, Ning Fan sent all the other magic treasures and pills into the cauldron world. Currently, there were already 100,000 cauldrons in the cauldron world. However, the leaders were still Bing Ling and Yu Ling. The 2 of them had already broken through to the peak nascent soul realm and were close to the divine transformation realm. The cultivation bases of the other female guards were also above the gold core realm. These female guards might not be able to join the battlefield but they could cultivate in the rear. Through the Joss Flame Seed, they could provide Ning Fan with an endless supply of Joss Flame power. Joss Flame power was an important way for immortals to improve their cultivation base. After doing all of this, Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He took out the ancient golden sword and flew towards the Chaotic Devil country, the capital of the Chaotic Devil planet. Very good. In order to obtain a small Kiliacosm Cosmos treasure, the Star Lord of the Chaotic Devil planet actually sent someone to kill him. He was never a person who would suffer losses. Since this Star Lord came to his doorstep, he did not mind teaching him a lesson. The sword light of the ancient golden sword was terrifying. It flew at full speed, shocking one cultivation country after another. All the devil cultivators who stood in his way were killed by Ning Fan with just a flick of his finger. In the Chaotic Devil country, the Chaotic Devil Star Lord stared at the urgent reports in his hands. His eyes were extremely gloomy. The 7 devil guards were all killed by that Taoist Qianqiu. It has only been 4,000 years. How could this person become so strong? His cultivation base is already at the 7th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Star Lord, what should we do now? That person's cultivation base is terrifying. Those who stood in his way were all killed by him. Besides, Lord has yet to recover from his injuries. I'm afraid no one on the Chaotic Devil planet can stop him. A void fragmentation realm old monster looked at the chaotic devil Star Lord with a pale face. Quickly ask the other Star Lords for help. The chaotic devil Star Lord gritted his teeth and said. Isn't Lord not on good terms with the other Star Lords? Why would they come to save you? How dare they not come? The discord between us is just a private fight among ourselves. The 7 of us are the disciples of the 7 Fiend sect. If I die, they won't be able to escape the sect's punishment. Humph. The chaotic devil Star Lord let out a cold snort. He clenched his fists tightly and his eyes turned cold. He wanted to see how bold and capable this old ancestor Qian Qiu was to dare to go against the 7 Star Lords of the chaotic devil Star region at the same time. Even if this old ancestor Qian Qiu was stronger than the 7 Star Lords, would he still dare to go against the 7 Fiend sect? The 7 Fiend sect was a super force with a mid-human profound life immortal realm cultivator, that you're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.